Welcome, one and all, to Counter's Casual Competition once again. For any of you folks who are joining us for the first time, this is a 3-round competition designed to just have people kind of get a taste of the competitive scene without having to put too much of their time and effort into the whole thing. We'll hopefully hang out with some wonderful people and potentially winning prizes, even if you don't do so well. So again, we'll be running 3 rounds today of competition itself, and then from there, we're running forwards and choosing ourselves a winner, which will probably rely heavily on tiebreakers, because 3 rounds is not a lot of rounds to try and figure out who is the very best. As you can see here, we have Swiss competition in place as well, which means that our players will start off ranked by their individual kind of solo queue rank, I guess you could call it in TFT, or at least in League of Legends, and then they'll be divided up by performance. And then at the end, it's going to be really about who manages to grab the most first places if we don't see a person managing to definitively take the tournament itself. We have had 4-way ties before, so it's very much possible. We'll have 5 prizes in place for today. Again, this is not a high-stakes competition by any means, but for the first and second place, they can get a guaranteed prize, whereas for 3 other players, irrespective of finish, they'll also have a chance at that same prize as well. So this one is very much about the participation and about having yourself a grand old time. But of course, we couldn't have a grand old time all on our lonesome here in Counter's Casual Competition. Well, I know we need a friend to bring us through these dark and dangerous times. Unfortunately, we have got one of the most qualified friends we could have here from the competitive TFT subreddit and the Guardian Angel League as well. Lunaedge, joining us. Welcome to the stream once again.
Thank you for the kind words. I like
Of
the
course.
glazing.
No, absolutely. I mean, honestly, for anyone who's unfamiliar, you do incredible work on the competitive TFT subreddit, not just tormenting people by oohing at them, but also setting up multiple discussion threads. It was one time, which has stuck with my mind forever. But actually, would you mind explaining the various discussion threads that you put up on the competitive TFT subreddit?
Yeah, it was the idea was born from one of our users. Like, since we don't have any stats for augments and anomalies at the moment, like we can only rely on tier lists, and we thought someone suggested actually, why not having discussions daily for augments and anomalies, so we can see what the sub thinks about them and see if higher ranked players can chime in and give us their thoughts. And it's working so far. It's been almost a month since we're having them, and there's been plenty of good insights from those discussions.
I love that there's anomaly discussion and augment discussion as well. There's a lot of stuff to discuss in TFT. I do think the knowledge burden for the game has gotten pretty out of control, but that we need like a concerted project to be able to even discuss every aspect of the game is pretty wild. But on to today's tournament then. Of course, we'll be talking all about the meta in a little bit, but Donjo, our previous tournament winner, is taking a break for today. We've got a lot of new folks coming in, but we do have a few recognizable faces. Levin, multi-time champion, will be attending his last tournament here today because he's going to go off and become a professional baseball player of some description, which will be a tremendous transition for him. Honestly, Luna, everybody here becomes professional sports people of some description. We've got Staffachiro, who's also a previous champion and a previous Duos champion. We've got Yuki Renner, one of our helpers on the Discord, and also Chad Chadstar, another Duos champion as well. So lots of friendly faces to help the new folks in and help them out. Luna, so coming into today, as we switch across to kind of the more of the meta discussion, how are you feeling about where TFT is at the moment with Riot kind of being on their winter break?
I mean, winter breaks and holiday breaks patches are usually kind of rough because they try to get us to a good place for a 3 weeks, 4 weeks patch, and sometimes it works less than other times. But at the moment, I think meta is in a good place. Like, there's a lot of comp diversity. There's a lot of viable augments and comps and anomalies and whatever, but of course, there's some outliers. Like we know Lux. We will probably see someone play Lux Maybe Chem Barons are still a bit too
Mm.
easy to hit. Then there's the Victor. Everyone's been complaining about Victor, and we will see him less since the nerf to
Mm.
6 cost probabilities, but he's still gonna carry someone and turn their game around by stunning their entire board for 2 seconds. And
Yes.
Mel can save people in an even more infuriating way, leaving them on 1 HP.
Yeah, it's gonna be, I think, one of those tournaments. With it being only a 3-round competition, I think getting
Yeah.
the high points is very, very important. And of course, those high points definitely include the 6 cost. As you said, just such a big difference maker in terms of what we got overall. In terms of the individual compositions, are there any particular comps or augments perhaps you'd be looking out for to see in the first round of competition?
I mean, I always love a good build different comp if you're talking about augments.
Mm.
I think it's super creative, and mixing and matching a board from nothing and have it pop off is super cool. But yeah, the the black sheep at the moment is Lone Hero, which enables a pretty degenerate comp with Lux perma shielding herself because she's not mana locked for some reason.
I think they genuinely forgot.
Yeah, I had that impression as well. Like listening to Morton stream, like it seemed to me like it was an oversight from them. Like she should be mana locking herself when she's shielding herself, at least, if not always.
I mean, it's going to be. I think we are definitely going to see at least one of those through today. But let's get into things a little bit then and look at our first lobby. We're going to be starting things off with lobby 4, including one of our co-streamers from today. Just going to post those out in the chat. Puri Koasa, whose name I'm almost certainly mispronouncing. There we go. Puri is posting in the chat at the moment, and the link is in the chat to her stream. Which I think I've accidentally highlighted. Yes, I have. Whoops. Never mind. That didn't work very well. I will post Puri's again. But so this will be lobby 4 that's going on. But again, we have got the streams from various different points of view. Puri is merely just one of them. So we've got some familiar faces here. Levin, as we mentioned before, coming with his last event today. And Deadly Ghost, long-time caster and player here at Counters Casual Competition. Tarantino's definitely been around. I think there's a few other bits and pieces of experience through here as well, but Luna, as we come into this first round of play, we've already mentioned Lone Hero Lux. You could have touched a little bit on Scrap. Any other comps you'd like to see our players pushing towards as they get those, try and fish for those elusive first places?
Okay, listen. There's been a rise in automata play since they've been buffed. But I am most excited about Kog'Maw actually, and not Nocturne, because I love high attack speed stuff and stuff that like can ping you for small hits 5 times per second. Like I don't like the blender with Nocturne, but seeing a Kog'Maw comp like do well would make me so happy.
It's interesting because I've been keeping a close eye on the trends. It does seem like Kog'Maw is doing pretty damn well. It's been shooting up in terms of performance recently, especially in Zeri as well. Been seeing a lot of performance increase, which I have to imagine has got some connection to the two. But let's get things started and see what our players have got for us. I just missed out on what the encounter was. I don't know if you spotted it, Luna.
Yeah, it was no encounter. So
okay,
vanilla.
I didn't miss very much.
Yeah, as much as a normal game as we can have with all the madness happening in the game.
Oh, actually, this is something I wanted to float with you because I know that you're very engaged with all the anomalies and augments and things. I did notice that the family composition, if we look at the kind of trends going up and down, the family has been trending down pretty significantly, despite the fact it does seem to get a lot of play. Do you have any thoughts on family as a kind of composition at the moment?
Yeah, like it's easier to pilot than most other comps, and really it hasn't changed much since nerfs. It's just that getting that Violet 4 3 rounds later hurts the comp so much more because you really need her to do well and to win rounds.
Well, I suppose, yeah,
But
you've got the whole thing, don't you, with the the one cost rerolls, where you've kind of got that window of time where your comp is strong, and if you're delaying that or taking away 3 rounds when you're at max capacity, then
Yeah.
you've just got that much less of the game that you're actually running a good composition.
Absolutely, and 3 rounds may sound like a small amount of time, but it can be the difference between crashing out or actually getting to a good position and win out the lobby.
We've definitely got some Cogmore appreciators in the chat, so Luna, you're in good company
Yay, let's
here
go.
today. We're starting off with a gold augment, so just a war for the Undercity coming through.
Yeah,
You mentioned Ken Baron as a go-to for a lot of players.
absolutely. It's one of the more easy to pilot, like lose streak traits we've had in TFT for a long time, and one you're meant to stay in after you cash out. So it's you don't even need to have a hectic pivot round after you cash out. And I believe, yeah, it's been picked. Oof.
Yeah, so for the war for the Undercity means that Archon's going to be heavily incentivized to go for the big cash out. Has got 2 of the 3 cost Ken Barons already, so Archon is digging
There
deep
you
trying to
have
make
it.
sure Ken Baron gets activated, but we should be able to get up to Ken Baron 4 very quickly.
Yeah, it's really a good place to be at the moment. Like, Cam Baron activated first round with all the units in place. Sure, it is a good place to be. Are they gonna win this round though? This Mitch is mitching.
Yeah, Smeech and Reddy are actually pretty good units, is the problem. And they beat up Neon, who was only
Like,
at level 3.
Positioning was also kind of random, so getting this win is pretty impressive.
Yeah, the problem is, like, normally if we've got, a ranged unit like the Renata, we can stick them at the front, but because we've got 2 strong melee units here, I think Archon's going to have to rely on at least playing up against some stronger people. Fortunately, at least most of their pool, after playing nobody, we've got Torrentino and Gizem, who are both on the win streak right now, so hopefully we can start up a streak. Neon on the other side, we do see a family ball coming in from Trentino, and we're seeing, of course, the trench coat, one of the keys to making the family comp really sing.
Yeah, I really don't know what it is about the trench coat. I think it's just the sheer power of have 3 violets wailing on your foes. But it's seen a lot of play on her pretty much exclusively. So having that right at the start, it's signaling that they're gonna play the family real comp to other players, but it's also the good place to be with the Serax as well.
Well, I think our observer, also shout out to our observer coming in today, that we've got a new student observer coming in, who is, I believe, Corbin. If I'm please do correct me, Alex, if I'm wrong on that one. Coming in to help us out. Highlighted really well that we have got a contest between Gazemli and Torrentino on the family line. So while we've got a strong start here for Torrentino, it may take a little longer to get the 3-star Violet line than they would like. Or 3-star Violet, rather.
Absolutely, but on the other hand, if I see someone with the violet trenchcoat Sterak, I may look to pivot out of family, so it may be easier than we think down the line. But what's with the family emblem though?
Oh wow, yeah. So it does seem like you've got a pretty good claim on the line. Thank you, Deadly Ghost, for the sub out of bottom as well. Very kind of you supporting today's stream. The next one will come up in 2 weeks' time once this one is done. We have come off this carousel, got a spatula coming in, which Levin will be scooping up. A very accomplished player here in the casual competition. Hopefully we can go across and check out what he's got in mind, because you mentioned we've got some emblems creeping through here already, and some players who've pretty much determined their line, like with the Ken Baron. Levin, as we see on the left-hand side, I believe, yeah, he is in family. Oh, no, sorry, he is the player with the family emblem, my bad.
Ooh.
And
Okay,
wait,
so they might not pivot out of family after all.
wait, so does this mean, can we get confirmation, Colin? Do we have did I miscount, or do we have a three-way contest on family units in this game? I believe. Let's see. So Trentino is family, but
Yeah.
looks like might be paying everything out. And let's see, Gazelmi is okay. It's going more down the Conqueror line, so I think we could have had a contest, but I think the players have decided no. That's just going to lead to all of us going.
It is because also the Neon X Birdie, sorry, also is in family. It is a three-way actually.
Oh my gosh! Well,
that will that will be hard then for all of them to hit the desired units in time for to have a good game and not crash out.
Well, we did get to at least see what. So Trentino has gone to level 5, which does tend to suggest that maybe we're only staying in the family line for a temporary solution. I'm really curious to see where we go with this kind of setup here, because we were talking before about the trench coat, being able to proc through the Sterax, I believe, multiple times with splitting between the units, so making that sort of melee carry very, very hard to deal with, but presumably we're going to be going for some other melee carry longer term.
Absolutely, and I'm trying to look who is good with trench coat at the moment.
I think it would be, let's see, looking at the stats, it looks like it's probably going to be Ambessa or Savika, who I probably... Yeah, so maybe, well, we know we've got a Conqueror board already in the mix as well, so maybe our players, as they try not to contest each other, will just end up contesting each other in a different line.
Yeah, but also Ambessa could be played in a fun emissary line as well. Emissary comps with 4 emissaries are super flexible with your carries, so that could be also a potential pivot for them. But that relies on hitting the emissary. She isn't easy.
Let's see, so Gazelmi, who is one of the players who was doing a little bit of a contest, at least on the Conqueror units, has managed to get up to 4 with the Scapegoat in place for a little bit of extra power, has managed to keep a full-on streak through the initial stage, but I'm kind of curious to see where we go for longer term here, because I do know, one of the things that I picked up from the competitive TFT subreddit was that it's unnecessary to build a Infinity Edge on our friend Draven here, because he can crit inherently because of the weird way his ability works.
It's technically all auto attacks. Like, his ability empowers the next auto attack, so it can still crit by default. It is suboptimal. It's not really that bad if you have an Infinity Edge lying around and you want to get a power boost in the early game. They're gonna definitely look to remove that Infinity Edge later down the line and put it on someone that can use it better. Thankfully, the Conqueror comp is full of AD units.
Well, I mean, maybe we're seeing a really hard push down this line later on. I mean, so far, we're not necessarily seeing it completely optimized. Deadly goes to the other side, though. Interesting item set there. That's a Gambler's Blade in place early on, but looking like it's going to be used as a replacement for a Nashor's there. Maybe for a long-term dip into Rebels.
Yeah, and it's working wonders. Look at the Vex tearing apart the Conqueror comp. And, like, having 4 Conqueror this early, and this is probably why the Infinity Edge has been slammed, is super super strong, because you can start snowballing those stacks and get the loot. Sadly, that Vex put a wrench in his plans.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Rebel then, since I know that we've been seeing various different people saying how bad Rebel is in the stats if you don't get up to Jinx 2, but I personally have been finding it actually a pretty reliable composition as long as you can keep your economy afloat.
Yeah, Vex definitely carries the early game and is a good item holder for both Zoe and Jinx. And in the late stage of the game, like when you get to Rebel 7 and you have the board-wide stun, Zoe can soften up the backline, and then Jinx come in with the rocket and finishes them off, and you have won the round pretty much. So it's all about getting to that level 8, level 9, and finding all the pieces. And having a strong Vex early can certainly help you in getting to the late game healthy. Look at that.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that was up against Puri, who she's running the quick striker composition there. With, I believe, the lone hero actually picked up to.
Really?
Yeah, I guess we've got a Twisted Fate who's going to end up being the last one standing. I wonder if Fury actually might be better putting that Twisted Fate on the front line just to make it more likely that Nocturne will end up with that massive buff.
Yeah, unless, like, I don't think it works like this, but unless TF can heal it himself with the blue card, that would be fun to see. But yeah, no, I believe later on, the blender will be the blender Nocturne will be the unit of choice to be the lone hero of the comp. But it's tricky though, because he's also a melee unit, and he's also gonna be right in the thick of the fight, and he could die earlier. This is pretty unreliable.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? We kind of end up in that kind of awkward situation. It makes me wonder if maybe long term we're thinking about maybe Cogmore, who's more reliable in that kind of respect. But
Yeah.
Trentino will take the L there, which will be that we have no more win streaking players. Trentino have been doing well with the family composition, but as you noted before, we have got a lot of traffic on that line. As we do see Ambessa being swiped up by Neon, I think that's would have been a high priority unit for several players in the game.
Yeah, we've seen Conquerors, we have seen a few potential emissary lines being eyed by some people, and so far, like, so many comps have been neglected this game. Like, no one's playing Scraps, I believe. We have the Chem Baron player. No one's playing Automata, I think, aside from the Nocturne Lone Hero. We have the Pit Fighter with the family, I believe. No Experiments as well. No Enforcers. That's a lot of open comps that are just waiting to be used. But we
Yeah,
see Living with 9 Dravens though, with 8
so
Dravens.
what?
Sorry.
Something I'm looking at here is, and tell me if I'm getting this the wrong end of the stick here, but as far as I understand, Family Emblem, oh, that's right. So Lehman at the moment is waiting for a Reforger. If he can find that Reforger, he can make
Oh.
himself a second Family Emblem. But unlike the Remover, I don't believe there's a guaranteed way of getting hold of that Reforger outside of picking up by either a random drop or by way of an actual augment giving it to you.
Yeah, I believe there's like 1 or 2 augments that still give you the Reforger. But yeah, no, Reforger is way rarer this time around, without Charms giving you plenty of them like last set. The Word for the Undercity player also has Pandora's Bench. So they're
Ooh.
looking to actually hit the units in time, of course. On 285 Shimmer stacks so far, 47 health is kind of low, actually. But 5 Chem Barons should be stacking up pretty fast. They need to get to 500 to have a really meaningful cash out. 500 isn't the auto win that it was last patch, but it's still pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got to remember the War for the Undercities in place as well, so once we can, I guess, ideally get up to 6 Chem Baron and start getting those, getting those stacks really quickly, then I think we could see a turnaround. Archon's on 36 HP right now, but given that we've got the Pandora's Bench as well, and of course, when we do cash out, we're probably going to end up getting some decent amount of Chem Baron units. I can see this board becoming really scary, maybe late stage 4.
Yeah, and I think the Mundo doesn't need to be cornered like anymore. We've seen them lose around pretty badly, so like Camberon is easier, but you still need to manage your losses. Otherwise, you'll just bleed out and not get to cash out. You need to lose your rounds with finesse, so to speak.
Well, I mean, the player which I'm looking at in that kind of respect for Archon then is going to be Neonex Birdie, who's also on a very similar amount of HP. So
I'm
you
gonna lose
compare,
streak. Yeah.
yeah, so both of them are on a lose streak. If Archon loses out on the lose streak in the next round, that's going to be a massive amount of Chem Baron stacks down the drain, and the War for the Undercity going to be hugely less effective.
Absolutely. And with Neonex Birdie is like it feels aimless at the moment. Like it's a good Bronze for Life comp they're playing, but they don't have Bronze for Life, sadly. And like Vi is trying her best, but she's not really a viable carry, at least this patch. And unless they find actually a way to go forward, I don't see them last much longer this game, sadly.
Oh,
Because
hold the
they don't
phone.
have a cash out.
Oh, so this is. I was going to say we've checked back in with Deadly Ghost, who we saw before going down the Rebel, or what appeared to be the Rebel line, but had gone heavily into Visionary. Now finding the Rebel crest, I think we're going to course correct here
Yeah.
and be able to throw in some real big hitters. I mean, Vex has been doing an incredible job. Deadly Ghost has been getting carried by this Vex up until this point, but now the Rebels are fully coming online.
Look at that. I believe Deadly Ghost was on 3 rebels like last round. Now we're 7. And items are starting to be shifted around. They need that Zoe. They need of course the Jinx. On level 8, it's not that hard to hit them both. And the key thing is hitting them before the anomaly. There's the Zoe. So you
Okay.
can anomaly them and have a huge power boost for the late game.
Yeah, I really like. I mean, I think the entire set, Luna, has seems like it's been built around the idea of spread damage as being kind of way to make the game feel fairer, in comparison to say something like an assassin who jumps in your backline and does all of their damage directly to your backliner. At least with the spread damage, you've got a chance of like reacting to it. And for me,
Yeah.
Zoe kind of exemplifies that the most, where she does a lot of damage, but at least it's spread out enough and kind of interactive enough that you've got some kind of method of dealing with it.
Yeah, and the downside is that if you don't have someone to finish off the units that Zoe soften ups, she's just gifting mana to the opposite carry. So having that Jinx that can finish off the backline, or having someone that can like ping or do chip damage to the backline is absolutely key to having the Zoe actually carry. Or getting nothing wasted as an anomaly, so she can chain cast and obliterate everything in her path. But with 7 gold, hitting the perfect anomalies that isn't looking an option for Deadly Ghost.
Well, we've got the Rebel emblem, which is is usually a big part of what makes this composition really sing. We can see the Savika just ripping everything up. The raw stats you get out of that are just crazy. But one thing I did want to bring up, I was going to say, did you see this on the competitive TFT subreddit? I'm like, well, of course you did. As one of the moderators, but the wonderful thread recently someone posted about the intricacies of the Zoe positioning.
Yeah.
That if you more or less, I think the sort of the bottom line there being, if you put her roughly in the back middle, she will be able to punch into the corners and hit the enemy carriers, hopefully quickly enough to actually get rid of them.
Yeah, otherwise what happens is what we've seen last round. The Zoe spell just keeps bouncing off the front line and doing not that much damage. But yeah, putting them like where the Ezreal is, or the hexagon to his right, depending on where the opposite carry is, which corner the opposite carry is positioned, uh, can give you reliable damage on the backline with Zoe.
I think the thing that stood out for me in that kind of analysis there was that that while Zoe says that her targets are random, it's actually not random. That she will just continuously hit the same units over and over again. It feels like that's something that probably came up during the testing, that if she was truly random, that she would just be so unreliable that she would feel terrible to play against. But we'll come back to her in a minute, because we've got Spirit of Vengeance, who does have a emissary comp put together. I know you were talking about this before as the flexible itemization.
Yep.
We've actually got a Corki emissary comp coming together, rather than, say, a Tristana-focused one.
And so long as it's working, it's fine. Like, I haven't been able to make Corki work, like, at all. I always see people pop off with the Corkis, and I don't know how they do it. Like, it's a Corki one with a Shojin and a Last Whisper.
I guess in an ideal world we'd have like a Tristana 3 in this, but it feels like Corki's basically filling in for having not hit Tristana 3.
Yeah, and given enough time, like, Corki can shred enough armor to actually do the amount of damage required of him. It always seems like it tickles the enemy when I play it. But anyway, Spirit of Vengeance decided to anomaly the Ambessa, actually. So Corki is just a sub-DPS at this point.
No, I think you're right. Like, this is such an interesting board from Spirit of Vengeance, because we don't actually have our damage from the backline. I think you're absolutely right that it's more support from the backline and kind of bringing down the HP. It feels so risky to have Ambessa in there, but she does have the Edge of Night. She does have the extra HP from the Garen as well, so we'll keep an eye on how she does during this fight. I do think this is one of the boards that maybe would do well against the Rebels, just because you've got a melee unit who's going to be probably not focused down quickly enough to put her out of the fight.
Yeah, but the thing is with Ambessa, like, Edge of Night is the best item on her because she ends up dashing through the front line and getting aggro real fast. Like, even with the Edge of Night and a Bloodthirster, she barely survived this round. Like, once actual carries are online for people and itemized and 2-starred, Ambessa is, like you said, a risky unit.
We're checking
close
back
to 500 though.
Yeah, well, Archon very close. I think has turned the corner into winning because Neon has been eliminated. That's the other player who's also lost streaking. I think that's really made Archon's time through this game much more stressful than it would have been otherwise. But, I mean, do you have faith that Archon can turn the corner if they can get the cash out in the next round?
I truly hope so, because... Wait. Look at the Mundos, though.
Oh, boy. Well, we've got Pandora's, we've got 2 sets of 2-star Silcos, we've got 2 sets of... Well, 2 and a bit sets of 2-star Mondos. And also in news as well, Levin has apparently found the 5 family emblem. So we have got the turning point here in stage 5. I think the boards are just going to go off absolutely huge from this point forwards.
Archon needs to win this round. 10 HP means you're out at stage 5. Like, you cannot lose. And this Ambessa is poised to actually foil their plans. Look at her.
Oh boy. Yeah, she's going absolutely crazy.
She
the
does not
Bloodthirster
care.
as well. There's not enough focus damage on Archon. I think in a different lobby, in a different game where maybe there had just been not Neon also lost streaking at the same time, that could have been a very different outcome.
I believe that was like 1 win away to 500 and getting the cash out, and 1 Mundo away to Mundo 3 that also would have helped a lot. That's too bad.
Oh boy.
That's the inherent risk of playing a lose streak comp. You either like toe the line and get by and win out with 1 or 2 lives left, or you risk crashing out.
Let's check in with Puri again. So it looks like it is, as we anticipated, the Automata Quick Striker board, the more standard version being put together. We have got a very well-equipped Corki. Though we can see on the other side the family board from Levin absolutely ripping through. The 5 family means that's much, much stronger than it would be otherwise. Also building up high stacks of their own to get even stronger from here on out.
Absolutely, and the Five Family player also has the Ultimate Hero, Violet, and she's come
Ooh.
online. She has 2 items, which are pretty good items. uh, it this player who is living. Oh, he's living.
Yeah.
Good, good on him. Uh, this is a good position to be in at this stage of the game. Like, unless someone high rolls higher, I see them win out this lobby with all the loot infusion they're gonna get from Five Family, and the power they already have on the board.
Just a quick reminder, of course, about what the Five Family does, since it doesn't come up a huge amount. So it's an extra dose of mana reduction than the normal family business, but also the heist coming through. Thank you very much, Colin, our observer, for letting us see here. Yes, we've got the heist in progress. So as we go through, we've kind of got Conqueror stacks as well as this going on. So another stacking system, yet another stacking system in the game, just means that the family... It's got a good long term. I suppose this makes up for the fact that we're playing, a one-cost centric board.
Yeah. And we see Deadly Ghost picking up the Jinx. I believe Deadly Ghost was the Rebel player, so that's good for him. Yeah, it's the Rebel player. So now it all depends on items, actually. But having a Gambler's Blade and a Shojin for the Jinx actually means, and the Zoe's positioning correctly to hit the corners. Switching items to the Jinx now means he just needs to stall enough for her to cast and finish off the backline that Zoe soften up. The point is, we've seen at least 2 Ambessas tearing up boards so far, so backlines may not be the issue this game.
No, especially with the Edge of Night you mentioned from before. You'll see how Deadly does do here. I think the item setup for the Jinx, we're talking about the getting the casts off, the Spirit Shojin, the double attack speed. You've got the raw stats from Rebel. I do think that maybe we're missing a little bit in the damage department.
It's low on damage. I agree.
But, I mean, we've got the Zoe. I think you mentioned before, which stands out really well, is we see Tarantino actually winning the round, that we're in a situation where you quite likely will end up with these really close end of rounds where you almost kill everything, but almost not quite being good enough.
Yeah, and this is a 6 scrap comp. How did this fly under a radar? 6 scrap for Phone Swapper, which is also super powerful as a trait. It's deceptively powerful.
Well, this was one of the family counts before, so it has really sneaked down the radar. But
it's one hell of a pivot.
You were saying before, Luna, that you wanted to see how the scrap comp could work. Tarantino is currently in 6th place overall, but Deadly Ghost and Puri are both barely on higher HP, so Tarantino could pilot the scrap comp to a top 4.
Yeah, and that Rumble, wrapping to the backline this round, did a lot of damage, but it seems wasn't enough. Please kill the Ambessa.
Nope.
No, that's too bad.
Just not happening. Deadly Ghost is out as well. Puri is gone. We're down to our top 3.
So suddenly. 3 hours in one round.
So Gazelmi was family, Leavin was family as well, and Spirit of Vengeance kind of started off with the family orientation, but we've got Gazelmi and Leavin both on win streaks right now, both looking pretty scary.
Yeah, at this moment in the game, I'd put my money on Leavin. Having 2 win streaks going into stage 6 is not ideal for Spirit of Vengeance. But the one thing I want to highlight from was it Trantino's comp. I believe they tried to do something really cool with Rumble, but it didn't work. Because they had Rumble with Flamethrower, with a Trenchcoat on. Sadly, the Trenchcoat clones did not have Flamethrower. That would have been so cool to see.
Yeah, that would have been nuts. I didn't even think about that as an interaction. TFT is pretty freaking complicated when it comes down to it. Let's see if we get our... Oh, I don't think we'll get our two win-streaking players up against each other. We will get Spirit of Vengeance, the emissary board remaining in. Relying on those melee carriers, the Ambessa does manage to dance through the raindrops pretty damn well, and I think we'll be able to access the backline, delete everything from there, and stay alive for a really long time.
And that's an Ambessa 1, of all things.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's wild.
Yeah. Like, if she can get reliably to the backline, she can absolutely chew them up. The point is, they're gonna turn on her. And once you have procced the Edge of Night, you have no other way of resetting aggro. So you need to kill them fast at that point.
I don't know if our observer, Corbin, if you can check the what we've got the setup here on the Ambessa to see what the anomaly is in place. Because yeah, I guess ideally, let's see what we got. We have got invisibility, so we've kind of got double Edge of Night here, or repeatedly proccing Edge of Night. Maybe that's why with the Ambessa is staying alive so well.
Yeah, that makes her way more reliable. But yeah, no. Vi just said no to her. Like you cannot invisibility getting CC'd and slammed to the ground like that. Sadly.
Oh, we've got some updates from the chat. Ace tried Deep Roots Mordekaiser and thought it would work differently. I'm assuming, Ace, from what you're saying there, it didn't work well, but Spear of Vengeance finds the upgrade. That's got to be massive. We're talking about Spear as being the player who would seem like they were destined for a third place. Maybe that's changed now.
Let's see if they can turn it around. Like, they have all they need. The Ambessa is set up correctly. Garen has 2 Warmugs to give her even more health. And hopefully have her survive long enough to get to the backline. Let's see.
It's crazy watching that Ambessa just dive into the middle of the team, but yeah, even with minimal healing and that invisibility, she's dropping aggro so often, but she's getting to the end of the round with pretty much full HP. Yeah. I don't think Gangplank's got the focus DPS to take her down, and she won against the Ghost. Kazami goes down to 1 life as well. Levin, I think, is unstoppable. Another family emblem!
You cannot get 6 family, though.
There's not enough room in this family, Luna. Somebody's gonna leave.
Living still has the frying pan on their bench. And they're gonna get the family. Like, you cannot get to 6 family, but you can still give a unit 60% off their mana and attack speed and durability, so it's not that bad. Like, at that point, the emblem becomes a powerful item to give somebody. Oh, and Violet has a fish bones.
Oh boy.
So someone on the backline is randomly gonna get punched really hard.
And the thing is about this as well, Levin is such a strong player. Honestly, the TFT scene will be much worse off for his departure, as Savika will be added to the family. I mean, bonus stats, and now we're seeing Vi with that fish bones. She's basically using like a rapid fire cannon to stay out of trouble and just kill everything.
Yeah, I don't see Leaving losing this. Boom. And like Violet always had this thing of punching people far away when the ability has already gone off. And the fact that she can stay on the second row makes her so much safer.
Alright, Spear.
Last round for Spear if he loses. Yeah. Oh, and the powder is on the front line as well. Like flexing like that. Now, they have all... How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4 1-cost 3-stars. One of them Ultimate Hero. Doesn't get better than this for a family reroll, really.
I mean, if you're going to have a swan song out of competitive TFT, I think this is the way to do it. Leave it just demolishing the lobby. We do see the Ambessa, she's doing her best, but
it's not enough.
Honestly, I think Spear did really well to make it to second place there, but Levin rides again. That was a hell of a showing, and a Christmas power as well. Oh my gosh, devouring the competition all the way up to the very end. I think Levin was very quiet in that lobby until he was very loud.
Absolutely, and getting that early emblem like made all the difference. They like set their course on the family comp and never wavered, never pivoted. Everyone else pivoted out and they lost. So what does tell us about family? The family is strong. If you can hit like 3 emblems.
Well, yeah, I mean, easy peasy. Who would even think that's something which you need to worry about? I think you made a really good catch there on noticing that the spatula had just been sitting there the entire game. But that's
Didn't even need that.
absolutely wild. All right, well, gentle friends, we will be taking ourselves breaks. Again, apologies for the ad break. I'm going to see if I can run the ads run the next set of ads during the break, or at least early on into the next game, to make sure that we don't get disrupted. But we've got 2 more rounds of play here to come before Counter's Casual competition is over for the day. We've had a pretty wild first game. Of course, myself and Luna will be back after the break to join you for games 2 and then 3 to finish off the entire competition. So stick around and we'll be back as soon as we can with our second of our 3 rounds today. Welcome back, one and all, to Counters a Casual Competition. We had ourselves a hell of a first round here with Lunaedge of competitive TFT, the Guardian Angel League, once again. And Luna, I think we got to see a lot of what we hoped to see out of our first round of play.
Absolutely, and like it's been a super hectic game with tons of high rolls. Like we almost had a Mundo 3 and 500 Shimmer cash out from Cambarons, and that would have been an unfair fight even for the 6 family comp that ended up winning.
Well, I mean, I think that's what we're getting, aren't we? You know, we're seeing that even from the first round of play, people are fishing for those first place finishes, and to get those, you need to go off the charts crazy strong. I think just because, you know, with Victor and Mel in the mix, the top end of TFT, I don't think it's ever really been higher to cap out.
Absolutely, and the thing is, we haven't seen them last game. Like last game had no 6 costs. So who knows how it would have gone against the family board, or if Victor ended up getting familied with the emblem.
Well, of course, the lobby which we had on stream was not the only lobby going on in our previous game. We had plenty more of action taking place off screen. So let's take a quick look at some of those lobbies and see what we've got going on here. See Panda winning out the previous one. Let's see, so what have they got going on? They went full into vertical pit fighter. Of course, we saw a little bit of that from the family side, but Luna, what's your stance on the vertical as, you know, as its own thing?
I like it. It's fun, and it's not having to worry about sustain, because pit fighters have innate sustain through both Omnivamp and a burst of heal. When they fall under 50% HP, is like frees you up to itemize towards more damage on your carries, and that could get explosive. Like the thing is, we don't know the augments they had because we don't have stats on the match results screen anymore. But that Randuin's Omen signals to me that they had the movable object augment, and all that tankiness coupled with the pit fighters sustain, that must have been an infuriating comp to go against.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what you're always aiming for. And Chadster, we were talking a little bit about, in our previous game about picking up the 3-star forecast, very close to getting the 3-star Alawi to go along with the Twitch composition. Really interesting setup there.
Yeah, the 2 Jaces as well. What was that comp?
And and interesting as well, we've got Believer going for the 4 Artillerist, just below there, managing to get the 3-star Argot online with the the Zonyas as well. I really wish we got to see that one in action.
Yeah, and probably that Tristana hit like a truck as well. Like Tristana 3 always hits like a truck and always has the time to stack her ability and do tons of damage. She can crit with the Infinity Edge as well. Yeah, the Victor too.
Holy heck! Alright,
God.
Eggerman
Okay.
managed to actually do the impossible and got the 3-star forecast, so I believe this is lobby 5, which we didn't get to see. We did see, so this is interesting to see that Tribs actually managed to bring the family again to a strong finish. So Luna, coming into this one, I was kind of down on family as a competition overall, but it looks like I shouldn't have been.
Yeah, family role is definitely strong. If you can get it to work, if you can get all the pieces you need. Of course, it's a 1-cost reroll comp, so it's extra risky if you don't hit what you need. You don't have a board pretty much. It's all unupgraded 1-costs. That feels bad. But the fun thing we see is that Elise 3 actually outcapped a Victor 2.
That's a really good point. I suppose it's been hard, hasn't it? Because I think Victor has been one of those ones that's been very hard to judge the power level of, because with stunning the whole board, I think by design he's supposed to be kind of a force multiplier. If you stun the whole board but you don't have any damage, then presumably that's still not going to be particularly good. It's just tended to work out that everything dies during his ult anyway.
If I remember correctly, the framework for 6-cost 2-stars is they're supposed to be slightly less powerful than 4-cost 3-stars, so it checks out. But if that Victor had some items, I think the fight would have been pretty close, honestly.
I wouldn't have at all hated seeing the Thieves' Gloves being moved across to him, but I suppose it was a more pit fighter centric composition towards the turn. But congratulations to Eggerman for a very well played game there. Taking a look for it down for the rest of the thing. See, Pills did try for the Chem Baron as well. It doesn't seem like, from what we've seen from our lobby so far, that Chem Baron is having the best of times. Maybe it's just the games are going a little too fast for it to really come online quickly enough.
Yeah, with all these eye rolls, like, your losses account for a lot of health lost, so you can get to stack Shimmer reliably. You want to have a lower tempo lobby with maybe some silver augments and people not hitting their 4-cost 3-stars to have enough time to actually stack up and cash out.
Alright, we're just getting it set up for the next round of play. Just have a quick look across and seeing what lobbies we've got going. I think let's go for... We did start off on roughly the mid-table, so I think we'll... let's see... let's go for somewhere... Well, I think we'll stick around roughly the mid-table again. Let's go for table 3 for our upcoming round, which is going to have Tribs, Unholy Girl, Meat, Muffins, as Puri again, 5 times 30, and Furu joining the mix. So, as we mentioned before, it's going to be a pretty tough act to be able to get out of the mid-table and into the final table for the final game, but it's just about possible, but you'll really be shooting for the first place.
Yeah, at this point you either go for bust and go for the first place, or you're actually trying to not fall down enough to be out of contention for first and second place and get the RP prize. But you need to try and high roll your mind out.
Oh, so a small update on our previous Victor conversation. Ace and Chad Chadster saying in the chat they've managed to have enough experience with the Victor 2 to actually say that it doesn't make a massive amount of difference. I suppose probably the main thing is going to be that he just doesn't die as easily, which would theoretically be his counter, is either to CC him or kill him before he casts this, maybe a second time at least. But we'll see. One way or the other, we'll be getting back into the mid-table again. So from our first round, these will be the players who managed to get the third places, the fourth places or so. They'll need to find themselves a whole different line of play. I mean, Luna, you're talking about the meta being pretty open at the moment. Do you feel that extends to the kind of the cap out boards then as well? That there's more than one way to be able to have an out of control board, even outside of the edge cases like multiple family emblems?
I mean, we've seen it. We've seen the Ambessa up above. We've almost seen the Camp Barons family roll. We've seen that win out. 6 costs can get out of hand if you have the right setup. I believe the experiment board also can cap out really high if you have enough items to actually get your Twitch to hit the backline and snipe them off. Rebel 7 is a strong comp.
I did want to touch back on the Twitch board because something I've seen personally, though I don't know if it extends generally, is that I know that normally you'd be going towards the experiment line if you've got an experiment emblem or maybe a bruiser emblem to help you really make the most out of the Mundo. But I have seen occasional boards that manage to just run 4 sniper, 4 bruiser kind of setups that actually do work relatively well, even in the absence of any emblems at all.
That's so funny because last night I had a 6 bruisers, 4 snipers game, and I believe I haven't won a single round with it.
Oh no!
I also had the augments of the sniper's nest, and I could not get it to work. So I believe it depends on who you're facing and the power level of the rest of the lobby. But yeah, Twitch works clearly. Twitch is a strong unit, and Twitch can unexpectedly snipe your backlines, especially with the experiment bonus online. It's so volatile, though.
Well, connect to that conversation. What Tronsky is Trontonesi. Oh my gosh, sorry, my pronunciation skills are very, very poor this morning. Is saying in the chat, it's one of the conversations I wanted to see connected to the Twitch, the Zeri carry coming in as being potentially extremely strong. I've certainly, again, anecdotally tried it out myself, and I think what you were saying with the sometimes having trouble with Twitch, sometimes otherwise, maybe that is going to be heavily dependent on the lobby and how many melee carries like Ambessa we see who can gap close very well and get into your backline. How many of those are in the lobby to mess with the snipers?
Yeah, and luckily Zeri can get out of dodge if Firelight is activated. But then again, like, I believe she needs a little bit more damage. She's seen some success at the beginning of this patch after the hotfix, and people were like, actually, oh my god, the Zeri is out of control, they overbuffed her, and she just petered out in the end. Like, once the blender came online, once Kog'Maw 6 Automata was discovered, once Lone Hero Lux was discovered, she's another one of those units that needs a lot of pieces to fit together and to actually come online at the end. I believe she needs, like, if not 3, at least 2 Rage Blades to actually stack up meaningful enough to do damage. At that point, with all those items, why not play an AP line instead?
No, I think you're right. It feels like it's going to require the lobby to maybe not be as crazy overpowered as it has been.
Yeah.
Abu Rafi, thank you for the follow. Okay, Trontonosi is saying that the Prone Collector would add an extra dose.
Oh yeah.
I think, well, as a multi-target, unit, I think that would make a hell of a lot of sense. We've certainly seen Collector work very well on the Tristana composition, so it would seem to make sense it would work well for Zeri as well. I mean, maybe we'll get to see someone trying it, but you're right, we haven't seen it so far. I think we've been seeing a remarkably narrow amount of compositions being played in a meta which, as you said right back at the beginning, has the potential to be extremely wide.
Yeah, and like, it all depended on the fact that like 3 of our players started with family and they had to find a way to pivot out of it successfully. So the lines were kind of restricted to, well, where can I get starting from here? maybe with a more diverse start, we could see more comps online at the end.
All right, well, I believe our next round of play will be starting in a second. Remember that at stake in this next round as we head to Lobby 3. Whoever wins out here has a chance of making it up to Lobby 2 or maybe even Lobby 1 for our final round of play, depending on how everybody else finishes. And if you are in Lobby 1, that's the place that you can get everything done and dusted. Get yourself a crown here at Counters Casual Competition and guarantee one of those 2 places for placement. But as we look towards this next game, though, you were talking about the idea of some varied starts here, which will hopefully make for some more varied ends. What's your what would you be most excited to see your players pick up here as a more unusual opener to the game?
Whew, that's a really good question, and like the most fun augments to me have always been hero augments, that's a hot take, and trait augments. And those augments enabling some unusual lines and some unusual playstyles can be the thing we need to see more in the next game. Like if someone gets the Vladimir hero augment, which is I believe one of the less strong ones, they are still looking to play something very different from another Black Rose player. Oh, Black Rose is another we haven't seen last game.
Yeah, I was going to say that felt like that kind of flew. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Like we're playing the same set as before, but we can end up in situations where we just don't see particular lines being played at all. When previously the game was functionally just Black Rose for everybody.
Yeah, like Black Rose Heimerdinger, Black Rose, other carries, they were everywhere. Oh, that's a Scuttle Puddle game. Speaking of high rolls.
Yeah, I mean, that's a ton more money into the mix here for our players, so we will be expecting to see them trying to shoot them in. Given how strong the 6 costs are, even with the reduced odds, it's quite hard to say I'm not going to try and push levels and at least, fish for level 10 this game and get myself maybe a victor.
If we also have a prismatic start, like someone with a good econ augment could actually try to get to level 10 and cap out with a suite of 6 costs. Not even 1.
Oh, all right. Well, let's get things started again. Remember, this lobby is about ideally the players who finish first and second are the ones likely to carry on in a potential tournament winning position. Everyone coming into this on 5 or 6 points overall from the 8 they could have gained from the first round. We'll see if anyone does find the strong early start. It doesn't seem, at least from looking at these early boards here, Luna, that we've got the same, sort of cluster of family boards we saw in the previous lobby.
Yeah, last time it was super obvious because multiple players picked up Violet. I believe someone was on Violet 2, right, on 1-4 already. There's a Lux, though. we're officially on Lux Watch.
I mean, it does feel like as a player you do need to be quite aware of, I've got a board which could potentially become game-winningly strong if I just happen to find the right augment in the first setup.
100%. But the thing is, we're on a Scuttle Puddle lobby, which means, you have more resources to get your 3-star Lux. The rest of the lobby will out-level you significantly. And if you don't hit your items, if you don't hit the augment, you need to pivot out or find a way. It's a prismatic. So no lone hero so far. It's a prismatic augment first. So the lobby tempo is gonna be wild.
All right. Furo had a chance to go into the family, but Ken Baron Crown, I mean, that's very hard to turn down if you get the opportunity.
Yeah.
The Smeech as well. You pretty much got guaranteed Ken Baron start, which will then turn into an even stronger. And we see Meat has even got the Singed already, so you know you've got it online, but rolls it
They
away.
roll it. Wow.
Oh my gosh. And goes just for pumping up. I mean, that's a bold choice to make here in the Scuttle Puddle, but maybe, just doesn't want to be hemmed into a single line straight away.
It's either that or they're wrangling for Tristana reroll, actually. Because pumping up is gonna scale her throughout the game. She's gonna scale herself through the ability, getting the KOs. It's probably that, or they have another. You must have a plan if you pick pumping up, right? Like, it's a safe augment, but it's also pretty restrictive on what it allows you to do later on.
Let's see. So what else have we got going on here? We've got. We did see a hard commit in. We got a Living Forge here for AS.
Banger of an augment.
Yeah, I honestly I really like it as well. The Tactician's Kitchen coming in as well. So Puri actually did manage to not only find the Ken Baron emblem, but also manages to get a little bit more on top of that one as well.
Yeah.
It's an awkward spot to be in though, because unlike what we saw from Meat, we don't actually have the Ken Baron start to get ourselves stacking immediately.
Yeah, and even if they had, like, you have a crown, you have a tactician item, so you're gonna be a unit up from everybody else, and losing becomes pretty hard on that point.
So Muffins, who had hoped to be a Lux reroll player, picking up the Dominator crown early on. I mean, yeah, if we're going back to the well with the Black Rose from before, this is such a reliable kind of mainstream AP composition that can really just, you can make sure you've got yourself a solid finish, even if you don't win the whole lobby.
Yeah, that crown actually allows you to hit a high Black Rose comp with 4 Dominators, with Cassiopeia, the Emblem Holder, Silco, and +1. That's a good comp to angle for, and I believe, yeah, we're seeing it already. The Scion in game. Cassiopeia is a good item holder for that Shojin. She's not the most powerful of units as of now, but she can still hold items for Silco later down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels like this is a very good setup in terms of just buying time. With the Dominators getting AP each cast, having a solid front line to hide behind. The Protector's Vow and the Sunfire Cape, really, really good for making sure this this board stays up in this lobby early on. We see how it does up against the Mogul's Mail board, the Living Forge board, which we know long term will have a huge ceiling and just be able to itemize multiple carries of those artifacts.
As long as you're all built for that, that's always a possibility. Like, I believe it's the Light Crown, whatever, the shield thingy they rolled right now is pretty universal, but they need to stay open to get a heavy AP or a heavy AD artifact and be able to use it. There's nothing worse than getting a Prowler's Claw when you're playing an AP line.
Well, you mentioned before the Emissaries as being one of those lines that does have a lot of outs into different styles of composition. I would be pretty excited to see if we kind of go down that way, and then we've at least got places for our AP and AD, or and tank items wherever they might manifest.
Yeah, you would have an item holder for pretty much every artifact in the game, and I want to see actually Ambessa with more range now. I believe she still dashes through the front line, so that would not be ideal, but she'd still be able to reset aggro reliably when she casts the second part of her ability, because she can get farther from the ranged units and she'd lose aggro naturally.
Well, we have got our two win-streaking players, Muffins and Furo, who might be on a collision course in this round to come, and they will be. Both of them are moved up to level 5, the Lucky Gloves from Fury's side of things, and we do see a Zeri in the mix as well as a Bloodthirster. So Fury's got an interesting ball coming together, but it feels like the Dominators are just that little bit more established already.
Yeah, like for Dominator this early, like you have massive shields on your Dominator units, you have tons of AP stacking up for the Cassiopeia. I believe, yeah, this one is one. And that's the first place for Muffins. For now, at least. For win streak, super good place.
A small
30 gold as well. Like, Econ is in a good place. They can just play to go the distance.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good round for Muffins. Being able to get to the end of stage 2 now with likely no other player in the lobby willing to move up and contest them face to face means that we likely see Muffins leave stage 2 with a whole bunch of money in the bank. As we look across some of the other boards, let's see. So we've got, Tribs has got the prismatic ticket coming in there as well. So it looks like we will be seeing family in this lobby as well.
Could be a possibility, yeah, absolutely. You can also play for hospital with a preferred ticket, like getting higher than that starts being a bit tricky. But 1 and 2 hospitals would be open to them. But starting with 4 conquerors on level
Ooh.
5, that's good as well. They could just play for the Darius and Draven reroll early, and then transition into a strong conqueror board late game with all
Yeah,
the extra
I think
resources they get.
I think I got a little bit baited by seeing that Violet as part of the competition, but you're absolutely right. Conqueror for Tribs. Fury, I'm really interested to see how she does in this game, though, because this is the Tactician's Kitchen player who picked up the Ken Baron emblem. So we've got up to 5 Ken Baron already. We've noted before that Ken Baron has been struggling in this lobby, but you'd have to imagine that having the emblem has got to shoot up your expected finish by a lot.
It definitely accelerates your stacking of Shimmer, and the one thing she's doing is she's actually fielding one less unit and having the bench clear. So it's almost like she doesn't have the tactician item, which makes loot streaking that bit much more reliable.
It's a big sacrifice being made, but it's a sacrifice that does have the potential of that big high-end finish. To touch back on the Ambessa point from before, Trontonosi saying that the Ambessa with range isn't great. She yeets herself into the backline and pops like a balloon. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll be keeping an eye out and see if that ends up being the case. The Dominator board, though, did make it out of stage 2 undefeated as we expected. But we have got players who are starting to build up in power just behind Muffins. AS and Tribs. Tribs, one of the opponent for this round. We'll see how if Tribs has re-rolled enough. Mentioned before, this is, I think it's somewhat of an unusual setup here. I wonder if we might be seeing Tribs going for the form swapper variant of Conqueror that would make use of 3-cost rerolls for the prismatic ticket.
Could definitely be a possibility, and honestly, they can do both. Like, they're still pretty healthy, and they're having a really good round. Lost only 1 unit loss for them against the win streaking Muffins leader of the board. That's another prismatic augment, so they're gonna have even more resources to maybe greed out and play for both styles of reroll, both 1, 2 cost and 3 cost. Who knows? Prismatic pipeline for Muffins though. Oof.
I do like this decision. Muffins going for deferred power from their second augment, saying, you know what, Dominator's been doing really, really well, but you noted that Silco coming online is really where the comp fully comes to life. So we'll keep an eye out for them longer term. AS will pick up a second long-term augment themselves, going from that Living Forge into Invested. So is also win streaking, but has that long-term potential. The Conqueror board from Furu becomes that much stronger with the Conqueror emblem coming in. I think this here in stage 3, we're really going to start seeing our players separate out.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Kuyanagi contesting Muffins. No, it wasn't Muffins, it's someone else. But contesting the prismatic ticket
Tribs.
Uh, because like they have prismatic tricks. Because they are gonna hit more reliably their upgrades, and like deciding to crush into their lane and pick the Conqueror emblem at this moment, it's a bold choice. I hope it plays out. Like, it would be fun, but it's so risky, honestly.
Yeah, it feels like Furu's maybe going to go for the higher end version of the Conqueror board, whereas
Yeah, could
Troops will
be.
kind of go for more for the mid. But you're right, it feels like for either of them, particularly the Swain, it's going to be heavily contested. The Ambessa being added in very early on for Furu.
That
I do
helps.
imagine we're going to be seeing the Bloodthirster going on to her at some point soon, but I don't know. I don't like what. Yeah, while it's contested, I think Furu's got a solid mid game, but locking herself into this line of play does feel very risky.
Yeah, and like they have artificial power through Lucky Gloves. Like still in a good place. Uh, Hitting those units without a econ augment would be the downfall. Or not. It's TFT, it's a game of chance at the end of the day, so you can't ever count someone out.
I think it's one of those things we like to, as casters, introduce dramatic irony into the situation by immediately saying something and immediately having the opposite happen. Don't worry, it's completely deliberate every time we do it, we swear. Muffins, though, has been very deliberate with this game, continues to be on a win streak as becomes the stage 3 carousel. I mean, we're seeing some of the consequences of Muffin's domination down towards the bottom. You know, we've got several players on 60 HP or less, 3 different players in fact, who've all been suffering these big early losses.
And this is where Cam Barons proves to be extremely risky in high roll, high tempo lobbies because, yeah, 52 HP at 3-4, it's not that good of a place to be. We still have a full lose streak going on, so we're gaining Shimmer at a breakneck rate with 6 Cam Baron on the board. How much is it per loss at this point? I believe it's
I think it's around
85?
75. And we've got
Or
2
75,
Ken Baron
85.
emblems, which is absolutely outrageous.
I mean,
you
if
can.
you need to play Cam Baron in a high tempo lobby, you need to do it like this. So it's fine for the moment. Let's see if they can reach the cash out.
So we've got to keep the loss streak in place up against 530 here, who is also not running a strong board. Looks like they've almost got a Ken Baron board of their own, just without the Ken Baron. A visionary board which doesn't look like it's got a lot of punch behind it. It might actually break the loss streak for Puri, which of course would be a disaster.
And yet, I've tried since
phew.
the first game of PBE to make the Morgana burn thing work. Hasn't worked for me. It's working now, and it just broke the loss streak for Puri. That's a shame.
Oh
At
no,
this
no,
point, you need
no.
to.
Puri...
Oh no, okay, no.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I think I was a bit misleading with what I was saying. I thought Puri was going to lose her loss streak, but
Yeah,
no, she
no,
did
I'm
hold
not
on to
saying
it despite going up against one of the other players on low HP. Though Puri is very close to 400. You were saying before, the 500 not a guarantee of the win necessarily. I have to wonder how far Puri is willing to push this one to go for the first place that she needs.
Honestly, just get the 500 for me. Get the 500, place your perfected items on the right people, and just use all the gold infusion you're gonna get to upgrade your board and go for the late game. There's especially with this many Cambaron items, there's a few fun interactions you can have with Cambaron items. Like you can get I can't remember the name, but the wave that stuns people.
Yes, the one that's hilariously broken and had to be nerfed.
Yeah, you can still play it on Kog'Maw with an emblem and have it be absolutely broken and permastun the opposing board all round. You just cannot lose. It's a thing you can do.
I think that I will say, like, as I think this. I don't know if this necessarily counts as a criticism of the set, but in terms of the amount of knowledge you need to keep in your head for very occasional situations like, yes, a Cam Baron cash out, where you've got Ken Baron emblems as well, so you can pull off these individual things. Players are asked to memorize an awful lot of different scenarios to get the maximum value from their boards.
Absolutely. I think it was like 3 sets past that Mortog says that TFT was nearing the knowledge burden cap, and I agree with him. Like, there's so much thing to account for, there's so much thing to know and to prepare for sometimes that it can get daunting for someone approaching the game as a new player, for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing is you are going to lose lobbies because you don't know a particular
Yeah.
line even exists because it's just not at all obvious. But for Muffins, the line has been clear for quite some time. The Dominator setup here, the prismatic pipeline paying off. So we've got the rapid fire cannon coming in. We have got the Dominator emblem. I know I've certainly tended to see that put towards something like an Elise longer term, but Muffins, is still one away from hitting the 6th Dominator, which would be a massive power spike for the board.
And at this point, I'm thinking, do they get that Malzahar and try to play around that Malzahar as well? 'Cause I can't
Ooh.
see Dominator Malzahar be bad, but it seems they're not opting to pick it up.
It's tempting, isn't it? But
Yeah.
I guess the whole thing is that ultimately Dominator is a scaling trait, and I wonder if maybe, you've got a real decision to make. Black Rose Crown coming in, though. I mean, that's just insane. If you were
Yeah.
worrying about, maybe not having enough frontline before, having the extra step of Scion is going to be massive.
Yeah, at this point, they have the Black Rose emblem, they have the Dominator emblem. They're set to cap out the comp as much as you can, honestly. Silco is already on the board, so he can be anomalied. Huh, interesting. Double Shojin Death Cap instead of like trying to put the Fire Cannon in to max out his mana gain.
Okay. I mean,
It's gonna hit Rocket Track regardless.
yeah, I guess the other item we would kind of be hoping for as part of the equation here would be a little bit of spell crit to allow us to push the damage a little bit further, but
Yeah.
either way, a lot of casting means a lot of AP. Checking with trips here again, the form swapper board. Not the full form swapper that maybe we'll be seeing later on, but certainly we've got the Gangplank 3 in place. Not the Swain 3 as of
Already?
yet, but
Wow.
I mean, he is ripping through the board. I think the front line's not quite there to give him unlimited time yet, but
Yeah.
Trips has got a lot of late game potential.
Yeah, like Gangplank 3 is such a strong unit, and the wait, we're on 7. What up? Oh, the cash.
Okay,
What's
I
happening?
think Piri like coasted so far past the cash out point that she ended up nearly getting to 700 before cashing out.
Yeah.
But now she's run out of money. And even with all these Ken Baron elements, and I don't know if Corvin, if you could check for us how much Ken Baron HP we're getting here on our Ken Baron units, but it must be an awful lot given how many we've got in play and how many times we passed.
Well, I believe Rennie and Meech have got it at this point. They have the items. Because on the back line supporting them at this point. Like Rennie's gonna blast the entire board.
Smeech is killing everybody.
Yeah, Meech is Meeching.
Wow, that's. I will say Smeech is one of those units where I think has flown under the radar for a lot of people across the set just because he's not tended to be a focal unit, but he is scary at 3-stars. You see here with picking up even one of the lesser Ken Baron items. He just deletes backlines as a sort of proto-assassin. And as Periosa picks up another Savika, I think Perry could come back from the brink.
Yeah, and 3 HP, like they hit the sweet spot for the cash out. Like 1 life left. Yeah, no problem. I'm just gonna cash out on some 500 streamer and win streak throughout the game, throughout the rest of the game. At this point, with those items and the comp being pretty much online, someone needs to high roll out of their minds to get the better of this board.
There we
And
go.
with the rumble in that it's gonna scale with his upgrades. Oof.
I mean, yeah, Rumble definitely feels like he could have been a Chem Baron from the beginning, but if you get to put the emblem on him, that's another 1100 HP as well as the tacticians coming as well. So Puri has been pretty confident in the chat. She said the winner's POV is here, so we'll keep an eye on how well that confidence
I love
plays
the
out.
confidence, yeah.
I don't think
why
you could have
not
asked for
place
too much
the
better
emblem,
of a vehicle to get to first place.
100%. And I wonder why not place the emblem though. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a stat stick at this point. It's just HP for a unit.
I mean, it's a Warmogs. It's better than a Warmogs at this point for a unit to not be running it. I don't know if Puri is just trying to do some style points by saying, I can beat you with without using all of my items. It's easy
just
peasy
flexing
for me.
at this point. Comeback story. It's either this or like the damage ramp per star level on the board. Realistically, with 7 gold, you don't even reroll that much. Honestly,
I would be kind of tempted. Okay, so Rennie is a choice here. That is unexpected for me, but I mean, there's so many good options. Unholy Girl is in trouble as well. I think we're starting to see her dropping down in terms of power. The Chem Barons have been contested in this lobby. Unholy, let's see, so they have managed to get the cash out, but I don't think this compares to Puri's raw power already on display.
Yeah, I don't believe it's a perfected item, and she needed to get out of the... She needs still to get out of the lose streak to stay in the game. At that point, you cash out and try to do your best. But yeah, the Chem Barons were already contested, and we also have Silco by himself being contested by Muffins at the top of the board. So it's super. It's not a good place to be. Like,
I will see if Unholy Girl can hold on for a little bit longer. Chem Baron 7 is absolutely crazy. The Visionaries on the other side of the board, I believe. See Renata just about surviving through, but the Chem Barons will get the win here. So Unholy Girl and Puri both get the wins from the bottom of the table. And we can start to see they are taking chunks out of the players in the mid-table.
Yeah, we're seeing like revenge of the lower table at this point. Everyone's HP is gonna get brought down a bit. At this point, do you cash out again, or do you try to keep? No, cash out again. I mean, you get units, you get gold, you get...
I don't know.
Usable items.
I don't like that, actually, because when you pass, you're still getting an extra chunk of HP, which I have to think is worth a lot more than the small cash out you'll be getting for, like, a stage 1 Chem Baron.
Yeah, you're right. I mean...
But I suppose we're in that rarefied air, aren't we? We were talking about this before, that you don't get to play this line very often, especially to this level, and maybe you just haven't ever been in that spot to say, oh, I could maybe optimize slightly more than I am right now.
Yeah, usually with Chem Barons, you either cash out and win the lobby because you were at 500 or 600, or you don't. And being able to cash out at a lower threshold and still be in the game is pretty much uncharted territory. You just need to trust your instincts at that point.
I mean, the thing is, it's very easy from where we're sitting from to be like, oh, you didn't do this particular thing that would have made your game a little bit faster. But to be in this situation, as Furu goes down to 1 HP, I don't know if Furu had a Mel to save them from the brink there, but we need to check in what Furu's up to. We saw the in the chat from Furu being not really pleased with how things are going. We're in a lobby where we've got 4 different players now on single digits HP, so it's incredibly volatile.
We're potentially 1 round away from having a top 4. And almost definitely like 2 or 3 rounds away from having a top 4. Like, even if the lower end players hang on, like 4th place at 35 HP, 3rd place at 36 HP. I'm stumbling over my numbers here, but like it's getting closer and closer at this point.
I'm so curious to see how Fura and the other players do. So 4 players at Elimination Station in this round. AS is, of course, not one of those players. The Living Forge player having risen above the rest to be comfortably ahead of the field. Fura did decide to come in and contest this Conqueror line. We'll see if this works out well for them, as I think it's going to be pretty tough. We've got the Heimerdinger stacking up in the corner. This is unlimited damage, and Furu will go out in last place, but only by 3 HP. Oof. 2 eliminations.
That can't feel good, honestly. That's too bad. Because all the pieces were in place. Like, the Swain was stalling for dear life with tons of HP and durability from the trait, and Zeri was attacking with double attack speed item, I believe, and the Conqueror emblem, and that just wasn't enough. Like, people have eye rolled more than them.
And Unholy Girl they both of you seem to be able to duck each other. Pyrian and Unholy Girl running the same line. I don't think have played each other since we last checked in with them at all, because they're both playing Kembar and they're both on a single life, and if they hadn't avoided each other up until this point, one of them would be eliminated already. Yeah. But instead they're running through the lobby, chunking out a bunch of HP, and we're very close to that top 4.
The Corki, though, managed to actually snipe out the Silco and end the fight right there, so Unholy Girl gets 6th place. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's just a single Cam Baron left in the game. But there was a Black Rose emblem.
And Puri took it.
Okay, so Muffins didn't get it.
This is usually TFT is not a game where you can really afford to hate draft, as in taking stuff away from other people. But I guess Puri's at the point now where she is so strong, she generally doesn't need anything anymore. And she can just focus her efforts on making sure that nobody else reaches her power level.
And the Mel?
Oof.
Like, once Mel gets to cast, I believe it's 12 times?
Yes.
It's 6 in Hyper Roll, 12 in regular TFT. Puri is gonna have another lifeline. And she's gonna cast because she's got an Asher's Tooth. I don't see Puri lose this. Realistically. No caster curse here.
I mean, actually, Puri managed to find the 3 Black Rose because she's got 2 Black Rose emblems. We didn't even realize that was the case up until this point. So it wasn't just a troll pick, but it was additional power. Muffins on 1 life will get run over. Puri, all the confidence in the world, but she has made it at least to the top 4. Tribs is just above on a single life as well. Puri is very close to at least a top 3, and has still got 60 gold in the bank.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think that Muffins, win streaked throughout, I believe, stage 3. Only started losing in stage 4. Was top of the board, Black Rose online, Dominators online, and then getting a 5th like this? That's gonna sting.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Muffin saying today is high roller practice. I think it absolutely is. Especially in this sort of scenario here where you just you're so, it's not like if you're playing in the regular ladder, you're so motivated to get the first place finish, you'll take risks that maybe wouldn't pay off. But the Tribs with the 4 form swapper board, form swappers once you get up to the 4 version are incredibly hard to put down.
Yeah, and look at the Gangplank just blasting away. Doesn't look like it's enough this time around. And Tribs actually gets eliminated on 4th place.
Wow. We talk about board quality. Meat, though, is staying ahead of the pack.
Emissary.
I don't think we necessarily rated Emissary as this is the best, setup that we could possibly have in a high roll lobby. But Meat has kept the head above water for a really long time.
I mean, this is also pumping up scaling to the late game. We have an Ambessa with Trench Coat, Edge of Night, pumping up, fully stacked. She's gonna leave. She's gonna live long. She's gonna have spawn 3 clones. They're gonna live as well. Maybe buy enough time for the Corki to scale up. Does Corki have the anomaly that gives your team AD per auto attack?
No, Touch
No,
of
it's the
Frost.
chill one. Okay,
Thank you,
that's
Corbin. That was
also
very
cool.
fast
Yeah.
on the draw. I really like Touch of Frost as a kind of an extra dose of utility when you
Yeah.
think you've got enough damage. I'm fascinated by Mbessa being put to the front row there. We're talking about the Trenchcoat previously. Trenchcoat, Edge of Night, and the Sterax. It looks like they're trying to proc that as quickly as possible, but
Yep.
up against Puri. She has been unstoppable for a while. Meat is the player with the most HP left in the lobby, but I have to imagine that this Ken Baron board is too stacked to lose.
The ambassadors are up, and they're just gonna be AoE them down by the Rennie. No mercy for the ambassadors.
Oh, a Gansling is letting us know in lobby 2 there's a 10 Rebel player as well. I'm assuming that's from you,
Wow.
Gansling. So high rolling is not just confined to lobby 3, Luna.
What is this morning's games like? Have been off the charts. We have a victor finally, first victor of the day. I don't see making a difference though.
Well, against the Ace letting us know that Ace got Cog 2 reroll in their lobby, so I guess that counts for something. But I do think in this situation where Puri's got so much bonus HP from the Ken Barrow board, I don't think being stunned for a couple of seconds is going to make too much of a difference.
Yeah.
We'll see the Ghost version of the board at least. I will say that from the other side we've got massive scaling from the Heimerdinger, which buying him a little bit more time is great, but ultimately the contest isn't even a little bit close. As we check him on the Real Deal board, AS seems to be the player to watch here as a potential challenger to Puri. The Ghost lost, but in the remaining battle of the two high roll players, it's still going to be a question as who gets second place.
Yeah, and at this point, for the two non-Cam Baron players, like, what's the other board? Can we see the other board? Oh, it's the Ambessa, right? I believe at this point it's a coin toss, really. Like, board strength is similar. Scratch that. That's a Silco 3. How did they get a Silco 3?
Wait, is that just that is a Silco 3? That completely flew below our radars. And this isn't even a Dominator board, but we have got the emissary bonuses coming in. I think this is probably the weakest you could have a Silco 3
Yeah.
and Meat will have to be satisfied with just having hit the least likely of outcomes just before dying.
How did that happen though? Because Puri is gonna have at least a Silco 2, so there's not enough Silcos in the pool to draw from.
I don't know, is my answer. But what I do know is that Puri, she was posturing, she was posing, she was saying she was going to win the lobby. And despite being contested on Ken Baron, she's got... See, so we've got the Ken Baron emblem. Two Ken Baron emblems, two Black Rose emblems. We've got a Warwick in the shop as well. I think we might be fishing for a Mel too, but I just don't think it matters. This is an absolutely cracked board and a very well-earned victory lap here for Puri.
Yeah, and even if she lost this round, Mel's gonna save her and she has another go. But I don't believe Mel's ever gonna proc that ability and get the 10% damage. Like, look at that Rennie.
Yeah, of course, she was the one who got the anomaly in this game. And no, it's not even a little bit close. Puri, she promised us the win, and she delivered. That was just an absolutely ludicrous ball, but it was a prismatic lobby. So congratulations to Puri. Hopefully that's enough points to get it into Lobby 1 to end out today, because that's what our players were playing for here. The chance to leap up the table and battle for at least second, if not first place in the tournament overall.
Yeah, and getting this win surely must have helped in the standings, and like, you could not wish for a better way to claw your way back up the standings. Like, such a dominating win.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine what our last lobby is going to look like, because again, once we'll rise up to Lobby 1, we'll have the players, which of course who are in the lead overall, who maybe take their foot off the gas a little bit and still manage to win the tournament. But we'll have a ton of players who are just behind that points leader, who are looking to go for the most crazy balls possible to leapfrog into that first and second place. Those guaranteed prizing your placements. But gentle friends, we will be taking ourselves a short break. When we return, that final round of the competition will be here, and we will crown ourselves a champion here today. Very likely to be a first time ever champion in the casual competition. So please do come back and join me and Luna once this break is done, as the casual competition concludes. Welcome back, one and all, to Counter's Casual Competition with myself and Luna, where Luna, apparently casual means play the most ludicrous boards you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah, like we have seen games like I don't have words to describe what we've seen. Like there was a Silco 3 on a non-dominator, non-chem baron board. How does that happen?
I do not know, but let's take a quick look at some of the boards we didn't see on stream in the previous round, because, of course, there was plenty of stuff left to go. So we had interesting. So we actually did see a lobby where things were maybe a little bit more sensible. Panda winning out their lobby with a reroll Urgot and Rel board. So the power level of this lobby was massively lower.
Yeah, I don't see it that like an outlier comp. Yeah, like the most mainstream thing was the Renata Sentinels reroll, and it got third place. Like seeing a Urgot in first place with 3 Steraks, it's something you don't see every day, but it's good.
I would have assumed that this was a consuming Urgot board under other circumstances.
Right.
But with 3 Steraks, I don't know if that Urgot would ever die, but congratulations to Panda. That was... Oh, it was Unleash the Beast 3 Steraks Urgot, so he must have been the size of a building.
So that's still an eye roll, though, because you have Unleash the Beast with 3 Steraks. I don't think that counts for a non-high roll game.
Apparently 8 Pit Fighter. Yes, we got the 2 Pit Fighter emblems as well, so he would have been shielding out the wazoo. Crazy stuff, and even Pit Fighter Corky in the mix. I believe we've got one more lobby to check over before we get into the final round. So this is table 4, where we can see Mickey's actually managed to bring out what looks like a pretty standard Rebel board to a first place finish.
Yeah, is that I know we had a 10 Rebels game on our lobbies. Is that the one?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can see 7 like there. It. So I don't.
Yeah, with no emblems. I don't think that's it.
It's kind of crazy to see that Miku, who's also got a 3-star Urgot and a 3-star Gangplank, it looks like an artillerist board, actually lost out to a standard Rebel board. Because we've got a Tactician's Crown there, sure, but it doesn't seem like this Rebel board is anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, but that's the power of Zoe and Jinx together. If they can snipe your backline, you have no damage anymore. If the GP dies, GP wasn't even itemized actually, but if the Corky dies, if the Tristana dies, they're both 2 stars. Where's the damage? You just have an Urgot that's gonna fold eventually.
Oh, Muffin's telling us that Panda actually got 8 Pit Fighter in games 1 and 2, which is absolutely crazy. Deli Ghost saying Miko was only losing to him, who was in third place with the genuine article Cogmore reroll. I know you said you were kind of happy to see that being played. It looks like in this particular circumstance, I think maybe we've just been a little bit lucky on stream that we've seen a ton of really high roll lobbies, but the overall general power has been more normal than we've been perhaps been led to expect.
Yeah, this is like something you can see in your ranked game or your normal games, honestly. Nothing too wild. We see the Enforcers reroll at the bottom with like the Camille 3 and the Medi 3 that just wasn't good enough at this point, I believe.
Yeah, that's a real shame. I'm a big fan of that competition.
That's good variety, though.
Yeah, even with the Enforcer Emblem, still wasn't good enough. But I think, as Tronsonosi is saying, I think Mickey having the Victor stun and the Rebel stun together is always going to be very, very powerful. But let's move on to the overall state of the tournament itself, because we are headed to Lobby 1 for the final round. Panda, the double 8 Pit Fighter player, is completely undefeated so far. So we'll come into the final lobby as our favourite. The final lobby will be mostly made up, if not entirely made up, of our top 8 players. But keep an eye out for AS, who is on 12 points and has the potential, if, say, a player like Maximed and the Black X go down with low finishes to potentially still make it into top 8, even if it's unlikely they'll make top 2.
Yeah, and at this point, though, I have to wonder if TFT Panda is onto something. Like, is Pit Fighters that uncontested that you can reliably hit it and place well? At least in this context of in the context of this tournament, like we could see a 3-peat, honestly.
Well, I mean, that's the thing as well. With our players being particularly coming into table 1, you need to get the big finishes there. And if you contest the Pit Fighter directly, it's likely that you're both going to be going out in the bottom 4. So you're kind of inclined to just let Panda have at it and say, you know what, you're leading the tournament, you've got a line. As long as I don't go Pit Fighter myself, I know at least you won't be contesting me.
Yeah, and at this point, we come right back to you just need to high roll harder. And we've seen that this morning, it's certainly happening a lot, and it could happen again. Who knows? Best of luck to everyone that's poised to take first and second place, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very tight final game. I mean, as you said, we've seen high rolls after high rolls after high rolls. I think we are probably set up at this point to maybe see a slightly more normal lobby, but given what's at stake here with those 2 guaranteed prize places, I think even if we don't have the augments that necessarily bring us to, ludicrous strength, our players are still going to need to really high roll just to get past Panda, who hasn't lost a game as of yet. So they've got as many points as they possibly could have at this point.
Yeah, and like, watch us have an Echo game with triple prismatic. Like, watch it happen. Or a Jinx game again. It could happen right out the gate with an encounter.
I mean, I certainly think that the Pit Fighter question is going to be very, very interesting to have going into this one. I hope we do get to see some of the other options coming in. I mean, in terms of the overall points for the table itself, we've got Panda, Maximed, and Black X, who are all the leaders with 16, 15, and 15 points respectively. Then Mr. Duck on 14, who's one of our moderators and long-time players here. So those will be our front runners. But if Panda, in particular, gets taken out early on, that will open a lot of doors to a lot of players. So I think if anybody in the lobby is going to be scouting anybody else, it's got to be Panda.
Yeah, that's the key at this point. Like, if you want to actually like sweat a bit and try to get high placement in the tournament, look out for what TFT Panda is doing. Maybe grief them a little bit. Yeah, all of these 8 contestants, like 12 points means that they need to get like 4 places higher than TFT Panda. That's not difficult to do if you place first.
I mean, if we look at the situation for Yuki and Chadster, and I suppose Puri. I mean, Puri has definitely pulled away up the table very dramatically from the previous rounds. Of course, the winner of our previous lobby with the absolutely ludicrous board. If you weren't here for that game, double Black Rose Emblem, double Ken Baron, huge cash out. I don't know if Puri is in the chat for us here again, willing to make the same kind of braggadocious claim that she made before, that she was going to win the whole damn
and it's
thing.
It's a Scuddle Paddle again.
Alright, it's what we wanted. We've had off-the-charts games 1 and 2. The final game will be no different.
We also have a cool intro. Thanks, TMC Panda.
Yeah.
For the board.
This is one of the premium boards, so I'm not at all surprised. Let's see. Muffin reckons that Panda won't scout. He's just going to go for the 8 Pit Fighter and hit it again. I think that's a very good possibility.
If it works, it works.
And Fury saying, playing against Puri last game was like playing against a wrecking ball. I would absolutely agree. I think Puri has come into this one with some bad intentions for everybody else.
Momentum is certainly with her at this point. Let's see if she can master it and push through and get to a high placement.
I do wonder, if Panda doesn't end up in a situation with double Pit Fighter emblems, as reasonably speaking they probably shouldn't, where we'll see them going longer term, because it could be a situation where Panda's amazing on Pit Fighter, but maybe less comfortable on other lines.
Like, so far, there's no pit fighters on the bench, on the board, none whatsoever. So, off to a slow start on that front. 10 gold though, making Econ on PvE, that's a good start. And of course, Violet and Draven are in the shop. Doesn't seem to buy them though. So
Yeah.
we could see something different.
Oh, I'd love to see it. I mean, the thing is, we imagine Panda should have some pretty good line through here. As we see Puri has managed to pick up some early automata. So maybe we'll be seeing the line through there. We don't have any things which will maybe push us towards the Cogmore direction, but potentially more towards the Quick Striker direction could still work.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like with the items they have, that's half a Shojin, half a Rage Blade. It could happen. We have a silver starting augment though. Lone Hero is a possibility for someone in this lobby.
You have to imagine people have got to be re-rolling. It does require a pretty specific item set to get the most out of it, but interesting. Mr. Jack going to...
I mean, ideally, you want to have 2 Archangels unlocks, but the fact that you have Academy on the board means you can flex a bit in that space.
Did get a chance to check in with Mr. Duck, and so we've got the Gangplank already aligned, so maybe taking some inspiration from Panda's success so far. You're going to see his Rage
And
Blade?
power up.
Yeah, so if we do see this one coming through as a secondary gold augment, Mr. Duck could have a massive power spike over everybody else.
Absolutely. Having a prismatic when everyone else has a gold augment is an immense leg up. Like, it's not as good if you get a gold instead of a silver, but the potential is there, and like, it's a fun augment. I always pick it all the time because it's fun.
It does feel incredibly risky, but up against Chadster, Mr. Duck's level 5 board does get the win. It looks like Chadster is going to be going for the scrap approach. That's Puri on the other side. I do notice that we've got quite a lot of Chem Barretts on her bench. I think she might be going for a repeat.
That would be something. And with the silver augment start, it's slightly less risky. If she managed to pull it off on the crazy lobby we had before, she can definitely pull it off now.
I will see. I mean,
She
Puri
needs a
definitely...
Rennie though.
Yeah, it doesn't have the units so far, so I think it looks like Puri's going to try and explore this angle, potentially be Automata. We remember the Automata is already contested, so this will be a little bit harder to pull off, but itemization is going to be pretty alright. Up against Chadster. I do notice that we haven't talked too much about Ziggs as of yet, but Chadster with a great Ziggs setup to start off the game.
A Ziggs 2, fully itemized, at 2-2, can be lethal, even without Dominator active on the board. He just has so much damage spread out throughout pretty much the whole team at this point. Like on level 4 he hits 4 targets, it's spread out enough that he can reliably hit the backline. He can snipe out units fairly easily.
Yeah, this is scrap 4 as well, so that's a lot of shielding coming in there to buy him time. I certainly know...
Yeah, and they're leveraging it with the power on the front line. She's gonna absorb a lot of damage with the shield and use her ability right off the bat and soften up the entire front line as well.
Yeah, I really like that as a kind of a tech in here, just to be like, okay, you know, once we start blowing through the front line, Ziggs can wreak havoc on a back line just as well. Yeah, with the Conqueror board, though, to start off with, I like the item set for the Draven there at the back for early on. We'll see if Chadster's got enough punch to punch through, and it's looking like it's going to be quite tight. But I think the 3-item Ziggs at this point in the game is just undeniable.
It got like 3 casts to kill the Draven while still hitting the front line. It was disgusting. And the thing is, once enough units starts dying off, like Ziggs bombs will retarget if there aren't enough units on the board. So they could hit the backline Draven with 2 bombs at a time and kill him even faster.
Alright, coming to the carousel, we do have a spatula on offer here. Puri, we know, of course, was headed towards potentially an automata line. Panda, though, will swoop in and take it. You saw Panda just parking on that for a while saying, you know what, you want this? You want this? I got it.
I can't even remember if Pit Fighters is a spatula or frying pan item.
It feels like it's a frying pan, but let me just double check that is the case. Let's see. Pit Fighter is no, it's yes, it's a frying, because frying pan gives you the kind of the class ones, I think, if I remember correctly. So that would be frying pan and the cloak. So it will be a little while before Panda can make a Pit Fighter emblem. But actually, that wasn't what they wanted at all. It's Rebel time.
We're playing Rebels at this point. That's a good comp to aim for, especially if you have access to an emblem. Like being able to gun for that spatula early on meant they're in a good place right now. They can scale for the late game. We still don't have the items, but because like there's no items at all.
I mean, I like this from Panda's side of things. Panda is still the tournament leader at this point in the final lobby, so you just need a reliable composition. And for me, I think as long as you can reach the late game, and we know there's extra money being injected into this lobby, so it's much more likely for Panda, then Rebel feels very reliable.
Yeah, and Panda is already at 50 gold with a full lose streak going on. So on the econ side, it's fine, honestly. Like 76 HP. Does what's the augment there?
That's the one that gives you. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Yes, we go eye for an eye. Thank you.
Eye for an eye. Okay.
So this means you're getting.
So,
yeah, you're getting extra components, and you're saying Panda. The only thing Panda was missing was the correct components to bring the carriers online long term. Eye for an eye means that should be a lot less of an issue.
Yes, but on the flip side, what's happening here? Like, two Morganas are cornering a Singed. None of these units were on the board last round. Like, the entire Rebel comp is on the bench.
I think Panda was really worried about running into Puri here, who is also on a big loss streak and did get the Can Baron in. We thought before she might pivot off. But yeah, Panda was saying, I'm not going to lose my loss streak, so I'm not even going to play even a remnant of my board.
Yeah, and potentially ruin the loss streak for Fury as well. For the long term. Like, because Panda is gonna think about the long term a lot, because as the leader of the board, you need to place higher than everybody else and you're guaranteed a win. And griefing the Can Baron surely is a way to ensure you're gonna place higher than them.
I mean,
even if it means sacrificing a few health early on.
I mean, I think if you had any news about what happened in our previous on-screen lobby, then griefing Yupuri, I think, is going to be very much justified. But we've got, a collision course headed here. Panda moves up to level 6. Puri is at level 6 as well. I guess the Can Baron whole thing is that you need to move up levels to find the other Can Barons, but at the same time, you still don't want to be winning the rounds.
Absolutely, and like 71 HP is on 3-1 is, I think, still on pace if Lobby Tempo doesn't pick up with the next augment. But you need to stack up that Can Baron trait, otherwise you're gonna be too slow stacking up Shimmer.
I also love that Puri has got lunch money in her setup as well, which is based off dealing damage to enemy to get HP, where she's doing no damage whatsoever to anybody ever if things are going according to plan. But it's a long-term strategy, I suppose, Luna.
Yeah. I mean, it's a silver augment, so you don't lose that much power in the long run. But yeah, it's pretty much playing without an augment for now.
Oh, interesting setup here for Yuki. We saw the Maddie board struggling before, but I don't think this is a Maddie board necessarily, but perhaps an Enforcer vertical that's coming our way, as we will see silver augments come in second. Remember, Mr. Duck, with the upgrade, means that he'll be looking at gold instead.
Yeah, we're seeing here rerolling all three and picking up Piercing Lotus, which is a safe choice. Like, your units can crit with their abilities. They get more crit, and crit automatically sunders and shreds, so you don't need to build the sunder and shred items. Which Yeah, I mean, it's item economy good.
No, for sure. I mean, Mr. Duck's in a really good spot. The early move into Form Swap, we're already at 3 Form
Yeah.
Swapper. And this Ginsus has been doing amazing work, so just pumping more power in. Gangplank's going to be able to, if he crits through, he's going to be able to shred through basically the entire front line. See how he does against Panda.
Doesn't even need to build the Infinity Edge at this point, given they have Piercing Lotus. They can just go for the Hand of Justice instead to give GP a bit more power and sustain. But it's not going too shabby at this point already. Look at that.
I mean, if we talk about this matchup into Panda long term, we saw the previous lobbies where we had the Zoe punching through the backline, but if we do see the Hand of Justice coming in for Gangplank here, he's got the Scrap Shield, the Form Swap, well, I mean, no additional tankiness from the Form Swap necessarily, but he's got the Scrap Shield, and if he's got his own healing, I have to imagine the Panda's eventual Zoe is going to really struggle to take this Gangplank down.
Yeah, he's gonna be a tanky carry from the back rows that can also hit your back row sometimes with how the mines bounce. GP is weird but super fun, honestly. And at this point, it's also extremely safe. Like, not even enough. The capped Zoe plus Jinx board could bring him down with one rotation, I believe. So it's a good place to be in.
The only downside here for Mr. Duck is that Mr. Duck has been spending pretty aggressively to get this impressive board online.
Yeah.
Up against Black X with the Tristana board, we have not got to see too many of those working successfully, but it's looking like Tristana has got enough stacks. I don't know if we can check them, Corbett, to see how many stacks she's gotten, but she is hitting pretty hard, so presumably she's got quite a lot of AD already. Oh, no, I was completely wrong about that. Barely any. Okay, so maybe this is more of a placeholder, but I mean, look at the bench.
There's also plenty of time to stack it up, honestly. Like, the thing is, you want to start stacking Tristana early, but also the later the game goes, the more units she can kill to stack up faster. So it's not that big of a deal if she starts a bit slower.
Alright, well, Mr. Duck is definitely setting the pace for the lobby. Still 100 HP, 1.5 stages, undefeated so far. Yuki and Puri both around 50 HP or so as a result. Puri, of course, with the Chem Baron board. She is the living threat to the whole lobby of saying, you've got to stop this from happening, or we know exactly what this will look like long term.
Yeah, but she needs to manage her losses pretty well now, because 195 at 3-5 with 44 HP left, you don't have much time or space to maneuver the comp, really, to get the cash out. She needs to actually put some damage on the enemy teams and bring some units down, have some good losses pretty soon.
I mean, when you've got Mr. Duck in the lobby, it's going to be hard to get those good losses, because Mr. Duck is, of course, heavily incentivized to spend aggressively to keep this win streak going, and Puri gets absolutely run over. I'm starting to worry here. I mean, what we see, we get a lot of stacks each loss. Puri might actually be forced into an earlier cash out than she won.
Yeah, and you don't want to be in that position, because an early cash out also means you stop stacking the HP and you don't really have the good items that can mean you turn the game around. 55 on loss streak at this point. We're looking at 2, 4. Yeah. To get to 500, she needs, I believe, 6 losses at this point.
That means she's basically going to be, one round from dead, even if it does work out, which is by no means a guarantee. At least we are close to the end of stage 3. Black X on the other side. Looks like maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is a Tristana reroll, or maybe just a placeholder for the Corki. It's enough, I think, to give the Chem Barons another loss, but there's a lot of low HP units there, Luna. This could have been
It's looking
even worse.
pretty dim, yeah. The thing you can do at this point is, like, try to get to 1 life, somehow start winning, and stack slowly the shimmer that way. But at that point, you don't have enough power on the board to do that, I think.
Hmm. I'm with you there as well. Like, I think from Puri's position, she could potentially be re-rolling to try and bring up some 3 costs at least to 2-star, so they can maybe kill some units, but will cash out at 400.
Cash out
so,
early, yeah.
so I think, honestly, Puri is one of the lower points players in the lobby on 13 overall. With that level of cash out, I don't have confidence that she's going to be able to pull off the same level of domination she did before.
I mean, the items are decent, but yeah, the higher cash out is probably not gonna happen. Like at this point, she needs to start winning, and winning means Cambaron stacks slower. The items should be fine for Smeech and Renata, honestly, but I don't know. It looks like one of those games where you try to stumble across the finish line with a 4th place.
Yeah, I think probably 2nd place overall is the best Puri can hope for at this point. But Panda are let's do a kind of an update on the situation. So Panda, our undefeated player so far, is in the lower bounds of HP, but does have a strong Rebel board coming together. The Zoe is there, the Rebel emblem is in place. We've got some great high-end potential, but this is very different than the 8 Pit Fighter board that Panda's been playing up until this point.
Yeah, and having the Ambessa 2 on the board with the Rebel emblem surely helps in stabilizing the comp. Using the anomaly on Ambessa could also be an angle worth gunning for, honestly, because it's not a Rebel, sure, it's still a strong unit, and one you can play around to do funny stuff, especially with an artifact, if they decide to pick up the artifact.
Well, I mean, we've asked to see this final lobby coming in as a lower power lobby. We've seen full prismatic lobbies. In this case, we've got basically the lowest power augment lobby we could have possibly had.
Yeah, and this artifact choice honestly doesn't feel that good. It's still fine. Like your Ilawi will provide extra tankiness to your team, and at that point, she's gonna die. She's gonna offer up an even bigger shield. But this comp needs a Jinx at this point to actually win out and work. At this point, I don't see it restarting a win streak.
No, it doesn't look great for Panda. I did get a question from Cheeky Brecky, thank you for the follow, in the chat, asking about the COG itemization. Very often people will bring in the... because COG scales up during the round, bringing in other scaling items like the Ginsus and the Archangels works very well, though I imagine Deathcap is still absolutely fine. For Panda, though, looking like he's, with his own Archangels, has managed to stabilize here and is starting to build back the win streak.
Yeah, and certainly the Guardbreaker is a standout item on Zoe because she can hit the front line with a shield and then deal additional damage to the back line. So the Jinx can have an easier time dealing with that. So it's a good place item-wise. Let's see if they can make it work. And Zoe too, okay. That's a hell of an upgrade. Going back to the Cogmo question real quick, like there's different schools of thoughts on how to itemize Cog. Like I know a lot of people like the Rage Blade, while for example I prefer the Shojin on him because he automatically gets attack speed through his cast. Also, Mortog is on record saying that he doesn't like the Archangel on the Cogmo.
Oh, interesting.
And
I mean, I guess we are in the point with the way that the unit's set up. But I think as long as you've got a reason for doing what it is you're doing, and you know that item does something, then you're never really super far from having a functional unit.
Yeah, and with items being so generalistic and so flexible, you can have different loadouts that work just fine, honestly. It's the beauty of the item system as it is right now.
Yeah, I'm glad that that's a place we're existing in at the moment, but to bring us back to the game, we've got to take account of where everybody is. So we've got our front runners in Chad Chadster, who is the lowest points player coming into this one, and Mr. Duck, who's no longer undefeated on 14 points overall. Chad Chadster would likely have to win the entire lobby to stand a chance of even making top 2.
Yeah. At this point, I believe TFT Panda still wins the competition. And we've been talking about how the comp is stable and how maybe it's not a first place comp yet. TFT Panda doesn't need a first place, honestly.
No?
They just need to do good. And this is a good enough comp, honestly. Looking also at the Jace coming in, providing more frontline and disruption with his cast and more shields with the pylon, that's a pretty good comp.
Well, the direct opponents of Panda in this lobby are Black X and Maximed. Both of them are 1 point behind Panda. So if they finish ahead of Panda by just 1, it's likely they'll lose out on tiebreakers because Panda's had such a good tournament up until this point. Ideally, both Maximed and Black X want to finish 2 places ahead of Panda to guarantee that they will leapfrog the points overall and take home the tournament title. It's looking like that's going to be a little hard to pull off, though, because Panda gets another win in, and Panda's on a huge streak. Of course, if Panda wins the lobby, then all bets are off.
Yeah, and what happened last round was interesting because, like, Zoe is not positioned to hit the corners reliably with the tech we mentioned before, but she was still hitting the carries. The point is, some of these frontline died, and the carries worked up, and they weren't gonna be hit anymore by the Zoe. That's a tricky place to be.
It's another aspect of the complexity of the set that I think.
Yeah.
I do think we're at kind of a reasonable place where you could play this set without ever knowing about half of the interactions and still do fine. But I think in order to get the maximum value out of your board, you have to go absolutely crazy. So though, we haven't talked about the actual board for a little while. We saw the Ziggs carry being preferred in the early game. It's actually a Ziggs 3 as well as a fortified Garen on the front line. I think recognizing for the Dominators that it's not necessarily just in having as much AP as possible, but making sure you have time to stack that AP.
Yeah, the Fable Ziggs carry comp. I'm so glad I'm saying this because I want to copy it. It looks so fun, looks so strong, and again, the Ziggs can hit the backline with the bounces. Like this time, 1 bounce hit the Elise, and as long as the fights keep going, the bombs are gonna be stronger and stronger with 4 Dominators in. So as long as the front line can stall enough, yeah, it's gonna chunk those units.
I do think Ziggs is one of those units that when you see Ziggs 3 operating for the first time, you're like, what? How can he be this good in the game? Yeah. I mean, I know Chachasa has got a good board already, but this Ziggs, even with the Dominator Dominator augment in place for a little bit of extra shielding, he's still an absolute unit.
The difference between Ziggs 2 and Ziggs 3 is staggering, honestly. It's night and day. Ziggs 2, I feel like it's barely a unit, like it's pretty much a trait bot for the Dominator comp. Ziggs 3 can carry fights.
Oh, Renato Tostritos, thank you for the cheers. We are in the final round of our competition here today, a short 3-round venture where we've got currently leading the pack Panda, who is the only undefeated player in the tournament so far, has been playing Pit Fighter in every single Pit Fighter 8 in the first 2 lobbies, but has switched to Rebel 10. It's looking like incoming. We didn't account for this, Luna. We thought that Panda could only break through on 1 composition. How naive we were.
At this point, it's on the other players to see the potential Rebel spat on Carousel and snag it before it gets to Panda.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, Panda's certainly demonstrated this has been a tournament of capping out your boards beyond belief. Chad Chaster on the other side, the Ziggs board, he's only at 2 cost. Surely he can't stand up to the Rebel power even before it hits 10.
Surely it can't, right? Right?
No! Come on! Oh my gosh, Ziggs all day, every day. Chad Chadster remains in pole position. Remember, Chad Chadster on 12 points. The lowest points player coming into the final lobby needs that first place.
What a turnaround for him. And 8 points would get them to 20, which is a nifty amount of points. Could get the second place if Panda doesn't place high enough.
We've got to remember, I mean, it was very unlikely, but Panda has hit 2 emblems, which means that 10 Rebel is reachable. He will need to get to level 10, but Panda doesn't seem to be on a amount of low HP. As we're sorry, we were so focused on the top of the table, we forgot to check the bottom. Puri has been eliminated after a devastating showing in round 2. The Ken Baron patch out, I think, was just too shallow this time, and she'll go out 8th place. Riding the high-risk scenario will sometimes lead to those low rolls as well.
Absolutely. It's something you need to take into account when you play a high-risk comp, and that's part of the game.
Maximed eliminated as well. That's a player in joint second place with Black X. Means that we've got one more player who's unable to challenge Panda for the title.
At this point, it's a duel then. What needs to happen for someone else to snag first place, though?
So Maximed
I believe
needs...
Mr. Duck can.
I think so. Maximed would need to beat Panda by 2 placements. Mr. Duck would need to beat Panda by 3 placements.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit better at figuring this stuff out after like doing a million of these tournaments, but still, it's complicated. I guess the short end of the story is here. If Panda plummets out of the game at this point, all bets are off and anybody could win. But if Panda stabilizes and gets back to a solid top 4, top 3 position, then Panda's likely to win the entire thing. But based off that previous round, Luna, we may be headed more towards the former open door than the latter lockdown finish.
Yeah, and Panda hit a Warwick. Oh my! Wait a second. It's being pinged. It's being pinged.
Oh, Yuki! But we've got the Jinx in here as well. Panda would have loved the Rebel emblem. I don't really think Yuki is... we haven't checked on Yuki for a while to see what she's playing. I don't know if she's playing Rebel or just did that to save the lobby.
Yeah, probably. And like Panda was also first pick. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Panda was also first pick on Carousel, so it was a matter of which side the Rebel emblem was on. And it wasn't on their side, sadly.
Oh, that's right. So Yuki with the Enforcer board does have a 2-star Caitlyn and is trying to re-roll for, I believe, a 3-star forecast in the Vi. I don't think Yuki's got enough HP to make this work.
Caitlyn is such a tricky champion to utilize because I feel most of the time she ends up hitting the front line. Like, you need good positioning on her, but also good energy for the bombs.
We'll see how she does. You noted we've got a lot of damage. It's almost entirely just a Caitlyn composition, but the front line's not quite good enough. Unfortunately, those Enforcer stacks just don't get procced. Yuki is gone. Panda is still alive for this round. We're getting confirmation from Wet Noodles admin. If Panda gets top 3, then he has won the event, thanks to his ludicrous display up until this point.
Wow.
But Panda is only on a single life, so it's not a guarantee. Uh-oh. Luna, how's your southern accent? Because we just had a redemption.
It's bad.
Excellent. That means it's going to be an awful end to the entire event. Oh boy.
What is happening with the anomaly for Panda though? Like the Akali was anomaly. Why is that?
I don't even think Panda's playing with anomaly. Oh, it was a calling card.
Makes sense now. Okay. Oh, they tried to fish for the emblem, and that's where they got it. I think the second emblem. Yeah, makes sense.
All right, it's Black X trying to take down Panda. This is an incredibly important round. If Panda goes down here, the Black X is likely to win the entire event. Luna, it's happening. The time is here, but the Zoe falls, and Panda is dropped out of the top 4. Black X is now the premier challenger for the crown.
That's a darn tootin' shame, I tell you.
That's all you're going to get. I think that caps off the Southern accent display perfectly.
Okay, so that's an upset. Panda with first place 2 times in a row switches from the Pitfighters to the Rebels and ends up regretting it.
Wow. So let's take stock of where we are. In terms of high-scoring players who could potentially win, Chadster on 12 points. It's distant but possible. But the most likely players to win out here would be Mr. Duck versus Black X. Black X has 1 more point than Mr. Duck, so they will be directly facing off against each other. But Black X is the lowest HP player remaining.
The fact that the standings are so open now is exciting, honestly. It's anyone's game at this point. Remember, the first and second place get the same amount of RP rather. So it's a matter of prestige and pride at that point, getting first place, but second place is just as good. And anyone can get it at this point. Panda's out.
Yes,
Maximed is also out, yeah.
Yeah, door's completely open. Chadster with the Dominator board has added the Silco fully itemized to go with the Ziggs. Black X takes the heavy hit. I'm starting to think that Black X is not going to be able to get across the line.
Foiled by a Ziggs of all things, man.
Oh boy.
What are they rolling for? They're holding 5 costs. What's the 5 cost they're looking for at this point?
So we've got a Mordekaiser.
Yeah, the Mordekaiser, yeah.
I mean, we've got a fully itemized 1-star Mordekaiser and Dominator 6, so if Chadster can get the 2-star version of that, especially with the enhanced Dominator augment, means that they're going to be even tankier and tougher to deal with. It's up against Mr. Duck. These are I think this is Mr. Duck's Ghost? No, it can't be Mr. Duck's Ghost. We've got 4 players remaining. These are the 2 players fighting for the tournament win here, face to face. If Mr. Duck wins, then Chadster will be going home in a hurry.
It's not enough.
And it's not good enough. Chadster gets the hit. Black X is still alive. And that means we're
there's
still
a mail in
up
place,
in the
though.
air.
There's also a mail in place for Chadster. Was it? No, it's Mr. Duck. So Mr. Duck also has that lifeline to rely upon. It's a strong position. It's a really strong position. Form swappers in the game, with perfect items pretty much on GP. You could only ask for a Shojin in place of the Last Whisper, since they get Sunder from the crits. But it's super good.
And Levin has given a great stat, as it's seeming like Mr. Duck's victory is on the line. Sorry, my apologies for what I said before. This is the 2 players in contention to win the entire competition against each other. Mr. Duck has got the Gangplank online, the Mail online as well, fully itemized, absolutely rips through the board. Mr. Duck takes out his most direct competition. With Black X and out, Chadster's the last one standing on 12 points overall. I believe that secures it for Mr. Duck. And as Levin has said, Mr. Duck has never won an event before, despite being the most frequent flyer here in Counter's casual competition, the originator of Duck Mode, and one of the most famous players in the community overall. He's been here since pretty much the beginning, and this will finally be his crowning moment.
See, when they toss off the shackles of Duck Mode, this is what happens.
Mr. Duck was literally using weighted training clothes just to contain his raw power. And as for second place, I believe we could have a tiebreaker if Chadster if Chadster gets second place in the game, they will be tied for second place overall. So it's a matter of like these last few rounds, probably this last round, because it could be a double kill, honestly.
One of them is
Victory.
facing a clone, the ghost.
Yeah, I think Chad Chancellor's going to get the slightly easier matchup. So Omir is out. Chad Chancellor could be out as well. Very likely out. He will be.
Yeah.
Mr. Duck has done it for the first time
Congratulations.
in multiple years of attendance. Number 89 belongs to the Ducks. I don't know, Luna, what your Duck sounds are like, but we'll have to try and get Mr. Duck online and see if we can bring them in. But congratulations, Mr. Duck.
Congrats.
A well-earned victory. You joined the podium. You proved that without those weighted training clothes, you are the tiniest untitled Duck game, which was always waiting to see happen.
Yeah, at this point I'm excited for a Duck mode win out, honestly. Like, we've seen what the Duck can do. Let the Duck honk victory.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to see if Mr. Duck is up for an interview. We are going to be waiting on our last join a voice, if so. So we're going to see if we can get Mr. Duck online for an absolutely amazing final interview. Let's see, Kang lost to the lone Lux hero. We didn't get to see it on stream, but I'm glad it tormented somebody today.
Hello, is this the Duck?
Mr. Duck. Just going to check. Yeah, I was just going to check with Wet Noodles. I think you need to join the VMix call, I think, to be heard on stream. So do jump in there, but we'll hold off while we wait. Luna, I don't know, can you make a Duck sound?
I mean, I said I couldn't make a southern accent, and then I tried, and I think it turned out pretty well. I can try also making a Duck sound, I guess.
I think, honestly, the worse it is, probably the more entertaining it will be.
Let's see. That was bad, though.
Yeah, I think that was fine. I think that was a very considered Duck sound. Of course, Mr. Duck will, of course, be the person most able to let us know. So, Noodles, I think, will ping us once Mr. Duck is officially into the call. It will take a few moments. Yeah. But while we are waiting, I'm just going to have a quick look through. I think we've got a lot of our results coming in, so we can confirm that Mr. Duck won out the entire competition, not just by 1 point, but by 2, finishing out in 22 overall, with Panda and Black X tying in second place with 20 points overall.
Ooh,
so
okay,
that was a hell of an end to the final game.
Absolutely, and we almost got the 10 Rebel play. And it's been so. We've seen Ziggs win out. We've seen the Gangplank do absolutely well in carrying the Duck to victory. Like, I believe him here with us right now.
Yes. No. Mr. Duck is denying the reality of being on stream.
No.
Mr. Duck, you are the most veteran player of the Counters Casual competition. How does it feel now to join its ranks of champions? Is that what motivated you to become champion? Is just because you wanted to get more roles? Oh no! Oh, well, in that case, sorry, just repeat for anybody who's listening on stream. Mr. Duck, maybe better just go through the VMix. I don't know. Okay. Would you mind repeating it for the audience what you just said about your motivation for your win here today?
But my motivation was I wanted another role. I have the most role everyone in here. I wanted another one, so I will get another one, and that's why I won.
I mean, what can you say?
I'm missing one more role.
Which one is it, though?
I'm missing doubles champion.
Oh, okay.
And that's my next goal. I'll get it.
Yeah, we're rooting on you. Are you going to try getting that one going Duck mode or regular mode?
Regular mode. Duck mode is for when... I think I'll probably do Duck mode next tournament, just to have fun. I can relax now. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
It
definitely relax now. Yeah, you had the game of a lifetime, honestly, with that GP3 tearing through the competition. That was a super good comp, super solid, and honestly,
yeah,
it showed you don't need the high roll of high rolls, to win out. You can just play a solid comp, four form
yeah,
switchers, and
yeah.
it's
Solid
fine.
comp.
Get your
It's just
items, get the damage up, get the frontline tanking. GP is gonna explode things.
Well, so I mean, I just want you to take a moment to just sort of soak in here that, there are some extremely high-ranked players in this tournament that you just beat out. What was your read on the meta coming into today?
my first game in, I came in and I played Maddie Bruiser, and I went, "This is what I'm gonna play the entire time."
We
And
saw Manny Bruiser losing, but what
yeah,
was your secret then?
hitting 3-star Rennie at level 5.
That helps. Yeah, I
Alright.
bet that helps.
Yeah, um, I just like it. It's a fun comp, and I didn't know if I was gonna win today or not, but I just came in with that. I won. I was feeling pretty good into the third game.
Mhm.
Third game, I came third. I forgot what I was playing. I think it was Renata Glask,
Oh,
and
the another
then
sentinels.
yeah, Renata Sentinels, yeah.
Mhm.
And then into this game, it was just like I got the early gangplank, and I was like, I might as well try the comp I have never played before,
Oh wow, that's a
and it
confident
worked.
play, honestly. Yeah, that's cool.
But I got to shout out Slick and everyone else in the call, because when I was panicking before the game because I was so close to winning, and I went to Slick and I was like, "Give me words of wisdom." He was just like, "Mess about just a tad bit less," and I did, and I won.
Oh, so when you say attribute that your win to that you've managed to find the balance between taking things ultra seriously and not having fun, and taking things so unseriously that you can't actually mechanically win the game.
Yeah, I think if I do like try and like actually play meta comps while having fun, then I can do whatever I want. I can win. It's just I gotta tell my brain, no, it's not time to play Bruiser Mundo. So
All right. Well, I mean, I think you've kind of done this already, but it's just before we let you go and get on to the rest of the giveaways today, Mr. Duck. As
yeah,
our champion, we already mentioned some of the folks you look forward to support, but is there anybody else you would like to shout out, either as responsible or just as part of your life? In terms of players, streamers, anything, before we let you charge off into night as our winner.
okay, I gotta go with Deadly Ghost, leaving pills. The homies in the voice call, just chilling every tournament. It's so fun in there, and I recommend people join it, even if it's for one game. It's such a chill time. It's amazing. So thanks to them to helping me through this every game. And then to the mods, Noodles is doing great with the sheet.
Mm.
He's doing wonders over there. So much wonders. I feel like sometimes, even though I'm a moderator, I don't do anything.
I guess there's only so far you can be as far as a moderator and also winning the competition itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations. So
yeah,
Mr. We'll let you go here just because we need to get the
yep.
giveaways done, but congratulations on becoming a first-time champion. I think the multi-time champion is still an available role for you to be able to steal as well.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
All right. Have a good time. I'm off. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Duck, and shout out to everyone for
Yep.
participating here today. Let's take a quick look at the final scoreboard to confirm the final placements of everybody overall. As we said before, Mr. Duck, by a clear 2 points, wins the competition, a tie for second place, and an incredibly tight rest of the top 8.
Yeah, Panda sneaking the second place at the end anyway. Look at that. 2 people tied for second place, and then 3 people at 19, and another 2 people at 18. It was super tight, you're right.
It shouldn't be this competitive, given that it's a 3-round competition intended to
Yeah.
be very much not competitive. But hey, Either way, that will be a confirmed prize for Mr. Duck and Panda as well, thanks to the tiebreakers being so good for Panda. Guarantees that second place, so hopefully that's a little bit of help. But we have got the random wheel ready, so everybody who didn't get first or second in the tournament overall still has the same chance as anybody else to get the same prize. So, Luna, I've been asking you to stretch your performance capability up until this point with all manner of silly voices. I will ask you to dig deep here again in our final part today. Do you have any other silly voices which you could bring out, or silly accents of any variety?
I mean, like, I could in Italian, but no one would be able to understand.
That's completely fine. Italian countdown will be wonderful.
What could I do? I feel super self-conscious because I'm not alone in this room at the moment. So everything I say, especially in Italian, will be super cringe to the other person that's with me.
I mean,
let me think about it. Let me think about it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll count us in with the silliest voice I can muster.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, I go for Corky a little bit too often. Oh, actually, yeah. Probably the silliest voice I can do is Pinky from Pinky and the Brain.
Oh.
Yeah! Let's have the final giveaway of the day! 3, 2, 1, let's roll and bones!
That was good. Like, giving a little mundo at the end, but good.
Yes, I lost it at the end completely.
Wait,
congratulations. Let's see. Who is Guillaume? I'm just going to double check. Because that's not someone who is on the sheet. I think they must be under a different name. I don't know, Alex, if you can confirm who that is. But I'll write that down as... Oh, I think it's probably Kiyomi, right? I assume so. Let's just wait for confirmation. Yes, it's Kiyomi. All right, congratulations, Kiyomi. All right. So, Luna, have you built up the resolve to go for silly voice? It's completely fine.
Yeah. No, you mentioned you usually will go for the Corky, and you reminded me that I could also choose from among the champions in League of Legends or TFT, and I simply adore. I despise her as a character, but I adore Maddie's voice line when you buy her. So I'll try doing that. It's gonna be bad though.
I don't think anyone really remembers what Maddie's voice sounds like, so you'll probably be fine.
Really, it's super cute though. She goes like pew 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 pew.
That sounds good to me.
It was kinda good actually, because kinda close.
All right, well, if you could count in 3, 2, 1, go in that voice, then we will see who our second round winner
God,
is.
in that voice. 3, 2, 1, cue. See, I shoot, and the wheel spins.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be who's it gonna be? It's
Neon.
Buddy. Hey, we remember
Congrats.
we saw Neon Buddy from before.
Yeah, we watched them on the first game, I think. The second Baron player. Congrats.
Congratulations. Have fun. First TFT tournament. Thank you for coming and playing. Oh yes, before we do our last giveaway today, just a reminder, our next tournament will be in 2 weeks' time on the 11th of January. There is already a tournament reminder in the chat. There's already a tournament reminder on the server. Let me actually just change over the sign-up form to be active. That will be Tournament 90. That will be coming in. So I'll try and do something a little bit special. That will be on January 11th. So the sign-up form has been updated. So you can find that on... I'll just put that into the chat. tiny.cc, if I can type. CCC TFT. And there is a reminder in the Discord for the check-in for that one as well. Phew. All right.
Yeah.
I've got to really make a list of like the silly voices, which I think when I hear someone else doing a voice, I can kind of imitate it. But when I'm called upon to do one for myself, I can never kind of figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I will need to make a list for next time, definitely.
All right. Well, let's go back to the cook. Oh wait. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'll do the Travis voice I did with Echo before, which is like the generic ogre voice, which is I think turns up in all manner of video games because
Yeah,
Travis from Critical
definitely.
Role just is all manner of video games, which is 3, 2, 1, let's roll.
That was an incredible grog, though.
Thank you. Yuki! Whoa! Well done, Yuki. You're our last winner of the day. Third random winner. Congratulations, Yuki. One of our helpers who's been doing a great job of making everyone feel welcome. Phew. That's all of our giveaways now, which does take a little bit of doing. So, Luna, before we send off the stream in tonight, of course, we want to thank you for your contributions today, which has been absolutely amazing. Is there anything that you would like the good people to know as I will post your particular Twitter? Oh no, actually, you wanted your primary was your Blue
It's a Blue
Sky,
Sky,
right?
yeah. So, like, I'm a mod in r/competitive TFT, and we've been trying, at least I've been trying, but the team is behind me as well, to make it a bit less salty in there recently. And we're having tons of themed discussions about anomalies and augments, and there's always the daily discussion thread to post your short questions there and ask for advice from people who are higher ranked than you or not. Maybe you are also experienced and would like opinions from your peers. I'm hoping to be able to turn it into a friendlier and more approachable place, so give us a try. And like counter posts on there as well as tournaments, and so it's not an elitist place, I swear.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think having the tone of the entire subreddit be a little lighter. I think in no small part, I think you've really started that with the uwus of just being like, okay, maybe we don't take this as hyper serious as we, as people will do, which gets them overexcited in the general things. But thank you so much for everything you do. We're going to send a raid across to a new streamer, as is the case nearly all the time. Habili, who is apparently climbing as fast as a snail. Please let them know about the competition and see if they might be interested down the line. But for now, thank you all for watching. Again, we'll be back on the 11th of January for the next competition. Sign-ups are currently open. Reminder is open as well. Thank you so much to Lunaedge for taking part and casting. And congratulations once more to Mr. Duck for crushing the competition and swooping through and taking his first ever victory. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time, if not before, for more TFT.
Have a good one.